Yeah, soldiers, it's your boy, the Anime Sage, coming to another video, and this is another fanfic reading of the Fanfic Legacy chapters 32 for 34, and these are the last couple chapters that are going to cover part 1 Naruto before the Legacy story goes into part 2 and the training time skip and all that good stuff, so that should be pretty fun. Now, for those of you guys who are new here, again, I just read the Fanfic Legacy, and I leave a link down in the description for you guys to read yourself. But I think some people aren't necessarily inclined to read something, which is why I'm here to be essentially an audiobook, which is fun. In terms of videos coming up, the Fall Bakugan video is coming very soon. Also, I have a remaster of What If Kakashi Adopted Naruto remaster coming very soon, so stay tuned for when that comes out. It's essentially going to be me remastering an old What If that I made back in the early days of my channel, and actually it was the first What If I actually ever made, so stay tuned for whenever that releases. And in terms of other videos, well, I'll save those for later. In terms of the rest of the usual checklist, watch my community tab like a hawk, that's really important. Follow me on Twitter at AnimeStage4, Instagram Anime_Stage4, and join me in the Discord server. I will give you all a reason to follow suggestions at the end of the video, so watch it to the end. If you want to follow me on Twitch for my podcast, I will leave a link to that in the description. And if you want to support me via Patreon, I will leave a link to that in the description as well. To end off the usual checklist, if you haven't seen chapters 29 for 31, I will leave a link to that in the description. And if you haven't seen the series at all, go check out the playlist that I have made. Alright? Cool. Alright, without further ado, let's get right into chapter 32, Paths Set in Stone. Here we go. Chapter 32, Paths Set in Stone. Suna. Tsunagaku no Satu was bursting with activity. Their pain of losing so many shinobi to the Leaf Village had dulled a little bit, but that wasn't why they were all cheering and celebrating. Today marked the day that the Godaime Kazekage would take his position as the leader of Suna, and hopefully make better decisions than the last one. Every single person was gathered around the Kazekage Tower in the middle of Suna. The Kazekage Tower was the biggest building in all of Suna, and was the workplace of the Kazekage, his assistant, and all the other personnel. On top of the tower, a lone figure was seen approaching. He had long white robes with a green hat. On the hat was the kanji for Godaime Kazekage. The Kazekage removed his hat to show a man with two very distinctive red marks on the right side of his face, the only visible part of his head, with the rest being covered by his turban-like headgear and by a sheet hanging from it on the left side of his face. The man was Baki, the former sensei of Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro, and now the new Kazekage of the Sand Village. Baki raised his hands high into the air and signaled the population to calm down so he could begin his speech. People of Tsunagaku, I come to talk to you with a heavy heart. I know it's still fresh, the wounds and pain of those who lost loved ones on a foolish attempt orchestrated by my predecessor, Baki started, and most of the people lowered their heads. But, Baki yelled, let us not dwell in the past, and let's look into a brighter future. As of now, we are allied to Iwagaku, since their Tsuchikage has agreed. We shall repay the leaf in kind, Baki said in a dark tone. But for now, we shall focus on rebuilding and bring our village back to its peak. I promise that from now on, I'll lead this village to the best of my capabilities as the Godaime Kazekage! Baki yelled, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Godaime! Godaime! The crowd cheered for the newly appointed leader. Konoha. Naruto and Hinata were walking home after Naruto had gobbled up almost 10 bowls of ramen. To this day, Hinata still wondered where the hell all of that went. It wasn't physically possible for someone to eat so much. It is known that the stomach stretches to accommodate the food, but 10 bowls is ridiculous. Being Naruto is an expert in space-time techniques, Hinata wondered if his stomach had some seal that would store and release his ramen at a constant rate. All kidding aside, it's well known that shinobi have a much faster metabolism than ordinary people. This is due to their work and their active chakra networks. To a normal human, digestion takes about 3 hours, while to shinobi, it takes a mere hour. Naruto was a Jinchuriki, which causes his metabolism to go into hyperdrive. That was the reason Naruto could eat so much. By the time he reached his third/fourth bowl, the first one he ate would already have been digested, and so on. That hit the spot, Naruto said, rubbing his belly with Hinata giggling and clinging to his right arm. Don't you get tired of ramen? Hinata asked, shaking her head. You eat almost 30 bowls a week. How could you? Naruto asked in mock hurt. Ramen is the food of the gods, Naruto said with anime tears. I know, Hinata replied, still laughing. Are you making fun of me? Naruto asked in a teasing voice. What if I am? Hinata replied, deciding to play along. Then I have to punish you, Naruto said, and then he swooped Hinata off her feet and placed her on his shoulders, holding her by her legs. Naruto secured her and proceeded to dash mad speed to their home. Yeah! Slow down! Hinata yelled, but Naruto didn't hear and proceeded to deactivate his gravity seals for an extra speed boost. You're home, Naruto said, gently placing Hinata on the ground, who was still seeing stars from Naruto's bumpy ride. Senju Compound. Naruto and Hinata walked inside the compound and into the living room to find the Saiyan siblings there. Gaara was reading, much surprise there. Tamari was cleaning up her fan, and Conqueror was doing something to his puppets. By the looks of it, Conqueror was either testing or assembling some new puppets, since Naruto only had seen his Karasu. And the last time he saw his puppet, he kinda drove a Rasengan through it. Yo, Naruto said, walking into the room and making everyone turn to him, greeting him. Man, I'm spent. All that I want now is a warm bath and a bed, Naruto said, plopping to a nearby couch. Welcome, Naruto, Gaara said, looking up from his book and proceeding to flip a page. By the way, Conqueror started, I heard you made the bingo book. Congrats, Conqueror said, and Tamari scolded him, saying that having a bullseye on the back of his head isn't exactly good news. Congratulations, Hinata-chan. You also made the bingo book, Tamari happily congratulated Hinata, and got confused looks from Conqueror and Naruto. Is she bipolar? Naruto whispered to Conqueror, who shrugged his shoulders. How should I know? Conqueror replied, and Naruto got deadpanned. She's your sister, moron, Naruto simply replied. I avoid my sister because she tends to be a bit aggressive with that fan, Conqueror replied, shivering. Between his sister's fan and his brother's sand, he really didn't know what to pick. Let's show them that Kunoichi are as good as men, Tamari said, and started swinging her fan and created a small gust of wind. By the way, Naruto started, how is training with Anko? Naruto asked, and everyone froze his question. I don't like it. Mother is afraid of her, Gaara said, shaking, while Conqueror wasn't very much better either. I like it, Tamari said in a happy voice. Too happy if you ask me. It's awesome. A couple days ago, she even let us interrogate a prisoner and use all of her tools, Tamari said with stars in her eyes. She's so cool. I want to be just like her, Tamari said, and both Naruto and Hinata slowly nodded, knowing that if that happened, it wouldn't be safe to live in the Senju compound anymore. Maybe she'll let me sign a snake contract, Tamari said, and all the males pale at the thought of Tamari summoning snakes to discipline everyone. Poor Shika, Naruto whispered to Conqueror, who chuckled. Hey, Gaara, how's the new seal holding up? Naruto asked. He had yet to ask Gaara about his new seal since he was out for nearly 2 days when he applied it. It's very good, Gaara said. I can sleep peacefully, which I really like. Besides, that Shikaku is being friendlier. Shikaku? Naruto asked, and Gaara nodded. Friendlier? Naruto confirmed, and Gaara nodded again, never looking up from his book. Are you high? Naruto asked, and Gaara got confused. No, I'm at the same altitude as you, Gaara replied, and Naruto's sweat dropped. Forget it. Explain to me the whole Shikaku being friendlier, Naruto asked. Well, according to him, all the seals used to seal him up were defective. He was in such poor conditions that they were driving him mad, Gaara explained. He said, Do you know what it's like to be stuck in a cage and being unable to sleep, Gar said, and Naruto pondered. I didn't really study much of your seal, only that it was meant for holding beaches, Naruto stated, and Gar nodded. Yes. Shikaku said that I wasn't able to sleep because he wasn't able to either. And he couldn't sleep because the seal was poorly constructed, and that was making him insane. It was like having an itch and never being able to scratch it, Gar explained. Good, Naruto replied. One less lunatic to deal with, Naruto thought. Suddenly, the door of the living room opened, and Tsunade, Shizune, and Jiraiya walked in. Hey, Bachan, Arasanin, Shizune Nichan, Naruto said, greeting his grandmother, his sister figure, and his godfather who got a tick mark on his forehead. Don't call me that, Jiraiya yelled, crying anime tears. But you are a pervert and always peeking around the hot springs, Naruto simply stated. Actually, I haven't peeked in almost a week, Jiraiya proudly said, and Naruto's eyes widened. Blasphemy! Naruto yelled, throwing holy water at Jiraiya. What brought this on? Naruto asked. I'll tell you later, Jiraiya said, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Oh, and Naruto, Jiraiya said, bringing his attention back to him. Me and Tsunade Hime need to talk to all of you later, Jiraiya explained, and they all nodded. They all went to the kitchen to have dinner, minus Naruto, who decided to take a shower while they all ate. In fact, both Naruto and Hinata had already eaten back at Ichiraku's and weren't hungry, so they just waited for them to finish so they could have the conversation that Jiraiya had mentioned. An hour later, everyone had already eaten and they were all seated in the living room. They didn't know what Jiraiya wanted with them, but the serious look on his face told everyone that this wasn't some chit-chat. They were even more convinced when Naruto placed a sound and visual seal around the room. So, what do you want to talk to us about? Naruto asked, while everyone was wondering pretty much the same thing. Akatsuki and this fellow, Tobi, Jiraiya said, and Naruto instantly knew this had something to do with his latest mission. Wait, Naruto called out. If it's about Tobi, we should include Kurama in this, Naruto said, and everyone raised an eyebrow. Kurama? Tsunade asked, confused. Kurama is the Kyuubi's real name. He trusted me with his name, and I'm doing the same with you, Naruto said, and they all nodded. Naruto proceeded to make a shadow clone and have Kurama switch with him. I'm here. You can start, pervert, Kurama said, and Naruto bit back a laugh. Naruto, Hinata, Jiraiya said, focusing on both of them. I need to know everything about him from your mouths. I know what Tsunade told me, but explain everything. Even if it might seem irrelevant, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts before beginning. For starters, he said that he's Uchiha Madara, my grandfather, but that is false, Naruto started. When he said that, I took a reading at his chakra and it had nothing to do with mine. Of course, it had similarities as we are both Uchihas, but he was too different from mine, Naruto said. But you are also a Senju, don't forget that, Gaara commented. I'll tell you what I told him. If you saw me with short hair and without whiskers, I could pass for my father, right? Naruto asked, and they all nodded. That means that my father's genes are dominant, meaning that my chakra signature is more related to that of my father, and, of course, grandfather than to that of my mother, Naruto explained, and they all nodded. And he also has some Mokuton, Naruto said, still not believing in what he saw. With that Mokuton son he pulled back with Kakuzu, he would believe that Tobi was using Genjutsu as well. I wonder about that, Tsunade said, rubbing her chin. So far, no one has ever awakened the Mokuton bloodline since my father, and all Senju clan members were accounted for. Unless some member had a one-night stand with someone we didn't know about, Tsunade said, trying to explain just who the hell Tobi was. Another thing I noticed about him, Naruto said and looked straight at Tsunade, besides him having the Mokuton, is that he had Senju chakra, but it felt irregular, Naruto said. What do you mean by irregular? Tsunade asked. I don't know how to explain it properly. It's like that Senju chakra was different from his Uchiha one. They were vibrating at different frequencies, so to speak. Another way to put it is, it's as if he had both Senju chakra and Uchiha chakra, but separately in his body, and yet one single chakra signature, Naruto explained, or tried for that matter. When he sensed his chakra, he wasn't looking for anything in particular, other than confirming if he was Madara or not. I see, Tsunade said, digesting the information. What can you tell us about his chakra? Tsunade asked, turning to Hinata. Unfortunately, I can't tell you anything else. My Byakugan doesn't differentiate chakra signatures, so all chakra looks the same to us, with the exception of Biju chakra, of course, Hinata explained, and Tsunade sighed. Ba-chan, Naruto said, making her focus on him. Do you think it's possible he somehow injected Senju DNA into his body? Naruto asked, and Tsunade unfortunately nodded. It's possible, but very risky, Tsunade said before she walked out of the living room and activated her space bridge to go to her office and picked up a file. This is a file on one of our Anbu operatives, Tenzo, Tsunade said, passing the file by everyone in the room. When he was young, Tenzo was kidnapped by Orochimaru and experimented on, Tsunade said, sighing at the shocked faces of Naruto and Hinata. He was one of 60 children that Orochimaru tried to inject Senju DNA to give them the Mokuton bloodline. Of all the 60 children, he was the only one who survived. But even though he survived, he became capable of using the wood release. However, a much weaker version than that of my father, Tsunade explained. So, it's possible that this Tobi has injected Gramps' DNA to increase his body prowess and use his Mokuton bloodline? Naruto asked, and Tsunade nodded. Then Jinchuriki have a major problem on their hands, Naruto said. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked. Two things. He has both a Sharingan and a Mokuton bloodline. He'll be able to subjugate every Biju out there, Naruto said, and everyone's eyes widened, as they didn't think of that. Hashirama in his prime was able to subject all of the 9 Biju, simultaneously if need be. And this Tobi also had the Sharingan, increasing his potential. And then there is his Mangekyo, Naruto said. You said that it had the same ability as yours, right? Tsunade asked, and Naruto nodded. Not only does he have Kamui, but we don't even know what other powers he may have, Naruto said. I get the feeling that the Sharingan's power is limitless, Naruto said, and everyone raised an eyebrow. What makes you say that? Jiraiya asked. I unlocked another power during our mission, Naruto explained, and Jiraiya motioned him to continue. You aren't going to believe it, but this new power allows me to turn back time a couple of seconds with only the user being aware of what occurred, Naruto explained, and Jiraiya's jaw dropped. Can you run that by me again? Tsunade asked, wondering if the sake she drank was a bit too much. I can turn back time, Naruto said. No, Jiraiya said, shaking his head. It's not possible, Jiraiya said. Nothing is impossible in the shinobi world, and I can prove it, Naruto said, and wondered just how the hell he was going to do that. I want you to think of a word and memorize it, Naruto said to Jiraiya, who agreed and chose his word. Now, you're going to tell it to me, and I'm going to turn back time to the point where you didn't tell it to me yet, Naruto explained, and everyone nodded. Jiraiya said his word to Naruto, and he activated his Mangekyo and focused. He still couldn't control his new technique very well. He still couldn't control the amount of time he turned back, as it was a random amount of seconds. Sometimes it was 5 seconds, other times it was 7, and the most he managed was 12 seconds. Kuronosu, time god, Naruto said, as his Mangekyo pulsed before starting to spin counterclockwise. Stop! Naruto yelled to Jiraiya, who was about to speak the word. I already know the word and turn back time. The word you chose was boobs, Naruto said, and Tsunade got a tick mark getting ready to bury Jiraiya into the ground. Is that enough proof? Naruto asked, but they were still a little dubious about it. I mean, turning back time. What the fuck?
I can vouch for him. Since I'm inside of him, I witnessed the whole thing,
Kurama said, and eventually everyone caved. So, what are we going to do about this Tobi person? Naruto asked, looking at everyone. He was the reason Kurama attacked the leaf. He's the reason my parents are dead, Naruto explained, unintentionally giving off ki. You aren't going for revenge, I hope, Jiraiya asked. He knew of many shinobi who had embraced revenge, and it didn't end up well for anyone. I won't give in to revenge, Naruto said, and everyone sighed in relief. But, Naruto continued, and everyone tensed. When we meet in combat, and we eventually will, I'm going to kill him, Naruto said, with his Sharingan spinning. And I'll be there, Jiraiya said. The bastard's going to pay for killing my student, Jiraiya said. And my daughter, Tsunade said, and everyone nodded. It seemed that everyone wanted a piece of Tobi. Now, it brings us to the main point of this conversation, and the reason why I wanted Gaara and his siblings in here as well, Jiraiya started. I heard from my spies that the Akatsuki are going on the down low for 3 years before they start hunting for the Jinchuriki, Jiraiya explained. That's why I want to take Naruto and Gaara on a 3-year train trip, Jiraiya said, and everyone was shocked. You want to take Naruto away for 3 years? Tsunade asked in a sad voice. Cheer up, Hime, Naruto said, hugging her. You forget, I have 2 space-time techniques at my disposal. I'll come see you every day, Naruto said, and Hinata instantly perked up, kissing him. I know you are strong enough to hold your own against them, but when 3 years are up, I want you to be able to take the whole organization on and come out the winner, Jiraiya said, puffing his chest, and Naruto just stared at him. Sure, Naruto was strong, but taking on 10 S-rank shinobi at the same time? Jiraiya was crazy! 10 S-rank shinobi are enough to take down whole countries and armies. You're kidding, right? Naruto asked, but Jiraiya shook his head. Think of it this way, Jiraiya started. You're an S-rank shinobi at 14 years old. What rank do you think you will be when you reach your prime in a couple of years? Jiraiya rhetorically asked, and Kankuro paled. Naruto had taken his sensei, him, his sister, and his brother on, and came out the winner, and he wasn't in his prime. I suppose, Naruto said. So, what will we be doing during the trip? Naruto asked, wanting to know the details. We will be ironing out any flaws in your taijutsu, merge Rasengan with your elemental affinities, get some field experience, let your body mature to unleash its full power, you'll have enough time to complete any techniques you are developing, and you can train your eyes further, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded. It seemed like a solid plan. For you, Gaara, I can teach you a proper taijutsu style along with elemental affinities and how to properly control the Shikaku. The sand I'll leave to you since it's your bloodline, Jiraiya explained, and Gaara nodded in appreciation. If you will train for 3 years, then so will I, Hinata said. Yosh! Tsunade yelled. When I'm finished with you, you'll be giving anyone in the village a run for their money. Tsunade said, laughing evilly, making Hinata pale. Medical training was supposed to be indoors and calm, right? I'm definitely asking Anko for the snake summoning contract, Tamari said, and even Jiraiya paled. He didn't want another pretty thing like Tamari to turn into an Anko. She was one crazy bitch. May Kami have mercy on her husband's soul, Jiraiya thought. Somewhere in a Nara compound, a certain pineapple-haired teen sneezed. Troublesome, he said, before yawning and going back to sleep. This is all I want to say to you, Jiraiya said, and everyone left to their rooms. Middle of the night, Senju compound, Naruto and Hinata's room. It was around midnight in the Senju compound, and everyone was quiet since everyone was sleeping. Ah! A scream echoed through the whole compound, making Naruto jump from his bed. He looked around with his Sharingan spinning, checking his surroundings for any enemy. Harder! Naruto heard and thought what exactly was the meaning of that. Faster! He heard and blushed. He now had a pretty good idea of what was going on and who was having fun. Naruto turned around to go to bed when he saw Hinata for Byakugan active and a small bit of blood on her nose. Naruto waved his hand in front of Hinata, but nothing happened. Is she a pervert? Naruto thought, amused. She had burned every icha she could find, but maybe she was just a closet perv.
A fine choice in mate,
Kurama said before going back to sleep. More! Tsunade yelled once again. This is going to be a long night, Naruto muttered before he pulled the passed out Hinata to the bed and tried to sleep. Shizune's room. Shizune woke up rather harshly, much like Naruto. She jumped off the bed, focusing her eyes on any potential enemies and with Senbone in both hands. When she heard the exact nature of the scream, she proceeded to blush and pull out a couple of earplugs so she could sleep peacefully. Gaara's room. Gaara was laying perfectly still in bed. It was kind of disturbing the position in which he was sleeping. Gaara was laying on his back with his hands folded over his chest perfectly still. Who dares disturb my sleep? Gaara asked as he opened both his eyes simultaneously, but remained in the same position. He heard the noises and simply made a cocoon of sand around him and went back to sleep. Kankuro's room. Kankuro woke up with the screams and immediately proceeded to break out in a fit of giggles, flying into a nearby wall and passing out with a massive nosebleed. He was one of the few who wasn't going to have any trouble sleeping tonight. Tamari's room. Tamari heard the screams, but she didn't wake up. Snakes, Tamari muttered in her sleep, shifting her position when she heard the scream and proceeded to sleep it off. Next morning, kitchen. Shizune, Gaara, Tamari, Kankuro, Hinata, and Naruto were all gathered in the kitchen. Everyone seemed mostly fine with the exception that Hinata was now supporting a pretty decent blush and Naruto had eyes of someone who didn't sleep. They heard a noise and turned around to see Tsunade and Jiraiya approaching. Tsunade was smiling and had the traditional afterglow of having sex. And if you consider the fact that she didn't have any in almost 20 years, I would be surprised that Jiraiya could even walk at this point. Now we see Jiraiya with the biggest shit-eating grin Naruto had ever seen. Now I understand why he didn't peek in over a week, Naruto thought, looking at Jiraiya, who was sitting down at the table. Naruto walked towards him, placing a blank paper in front of him and started drawing kanji. You know what that is? Naruto asked. It's a silent seal, Jiraiya replied, confused, and Naruto smiled. Then learn how to use it! Naruto snapped loud enough for everyone to understand what he meant. Maybe his lack of sleep had affected him a bit. Tsunade was blushing and looked away while drinking her coffee. Kankuro had already passed out again. Tamari was oblivious, while Gaara was emotionless. Jiraiya started, but Naruto interrupted him. I just want some peace of mind. Especially at night, Naruto said, and Jiraiya nodded weakly. Good, Naruto replied. Now, let's talk terms, Naruto said, and Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. If you hurt her, I will place my Tsukuyomi on you and force you to read the Icha Guy's Flames of Youth limited edition, Naruto said, and Jiraiya paled and quickly nodded. Later that day, Sasuke was sitting high up in a tree in the middle of Konoha. He was contemplating on his choices, and all the training he had done went down the drain. He didn't understand why he wasn't strong enough. He trained every day to the brink of exhaustion, and yet he was utterly defeated and humiliated by his enemy Kakuzu. And above all, Naruto was able to defeat him. Sasuke didn't understand what made Naruto so special. He even decided to follow Naruto's advice and got closer to his team. Well, as far as he could without breaking up his training schedule or endangering his quest for avenging his fallen clan. Naruto said that true power came from protecting people, and yet Sasuke remained weak, powerless at the face of stronger enemies. Kakuzu said that Itachi belonged to the Akatsuki organization, and if he was a member as well and Naruto defeated him so easily, then Sasuke would stand no chance against his brother. Sasuke would need an ace up his sleeve. What do you want? Sasuke asked as he felt four presences nearby watching him from afar, but not far enough for Sasuke not to notice them. 4 figures dropped in front of him, staring at him impassively. "I won't ask again," Sasuke said in a dangerous voice with his Sharingan glowing. "I don't know what Orochimaru-sama wants with this loser," one of the figures said. He had dark gray hair with long bangs that covered his right eye. He wore a green shade of lipstick and had dark markings around his eyes, giving them an androgynous appearance. He also wore brown tunics with long black skin-tight shorts and purple robes tied around their waists. He was Sakon, one of the Sound 4, the elite bodyguards of Orochimaru. "We aren't here to ask questions, shithead," another replied. She had red hair and wore a black hat with bandaged sides. She wore a tan tunic much like the other members of the Sound 4, with black shorts and standard black shinobi sandals. She was Tayuya, another member of the Sound 4. "Let's get this over with," another member said. He was a large and imposing young man, towering over the rest of his teammates. He had orange eyes, 3 tufts of orange hair on his head, a mohawk of sorts that ran down the middle, and 2 similar styled tufts of hair at the sides. He wore a sleeveless tunic with the symbol of the Sound 4 on the hem, along with black arm warmers, a pair of black 3/4 length pants that stopped just below his knees. Along with this, he wore sandals with leg warmers covered by bandages, a purple robe belt around his waist, and a necklace that comprised of circular, separate, long, metallic pieces. He was Jirobo, one of the Sound 4. "Orochimaru-sama has a proposal for you," the last member of the Sound 4 said. He was a dark-skinned shinobi with black, shaggy hair and black eyes. Uniquely, he also had 6 arms and wore a black, sleeveless top and shorts, over which he wore a tunic that bore the symbol of the Sound 4, and a purple robe belt around his waist. He also wore the 4 protector of his village along with arm warmers, shinobi sandals, and bandages around his legs. He was Kimimaro, the last member of his team. He, along with Tayuya, Jirobo, and Sakon, were the Sound 4, elite bodyguards of Orochimaru. "Let's hear it," Sasuke said, not once looking away from the enemy. Sasuke may be a lot of things, but he wasn't a fool. "If you come to him, he will give you all the power you will ever need," Tayuya said, and Sasuke stayed silent. Konoha was doing him nothing regarding his vengeance on his brother. In fact, since Naruto publicly stated he was a Sharingan user, Sasuke's leverage dropped significantly. What makes Orochimaru that powerful? He got his ass handed to him by Naruto and he's 14 like me, Sasuke questioned. "It's your choice," Kimimaro started. "You can stay here and keep playing ninja with your friends," Kimimaro said, showing one of his hands. "Or," Kimimaro said, showing the other hand, "you come with us and Orochimaru-sama will give you all the power you will ever need," Kimimaro finished. "There is nothing to think about," Sasuke said, getting up and dusting himself off. "When do we leave?" Sasuke asked, and Tayuya smirked. At least this loser knew what was good for him. "Don't you need to take anything?" Sakon asked, and Sasuke pondered before nodding. "Then meet us at the edge of the North Gate in 1 hour. Don't be later or we will leave without you," Sakon said, and all of the Sound 4 disappeared in a blur, leaving Sasuke to go home and pack. 30 minutes later, middle of Konoha. It was dark in Konoha as the sun was already gone. The only light available was of that provided by the moon or the nearby public lamps. Sasuke was walking calmly and quietly, trying not to raise any type of suspicions. He knew that if Konoha knew he left, they would hunt him down with the threat of the Sharingan ending up in another village. Sasuke looked ahead and saw Sakura looking at him. "What are you doing here in the middle of the night, Sakura?" Sasuke asked, stopping in front of her. "You are leaving the village, aren't you?" Sakura asked, but Sasuke didn't answer and just started walking again, passing by her without wasting a glance. "Go home, Sakura. Go to sleep," Sasuke said, and kept on walking while Sakura remained there in place. Silent tears started to fall from her face. Is that all you have to say? Sakura asked, shedding some in tears, not once raising her voice. After all the good times we had together as a team? And with me? Sakura said, shaking. You are just going to walk away? Sakura said. I told you that you don't understand, Sasuke said, stopping but not turning to face her. You don't know what it's like to lose your whole family and the person responsible being your brother. You don't know the pain I felt. The pain I feel, Sasuke said. I'm an avenger, and I won't stop until I have killed my brother. I can't be delayed by some silly crush, Sasuke said coldly. The only thing I need is power, and I won't get that here, Sasuke explained. So you're just leaving everything behind? Sakura rhetorically asked. We had good times, Sakura started. Flashback. Team 7 with their sensei had just got back from one mission. They were all eating at the barbecue restaurant. Between Kiba's loud and annoying voice and Sakura's giggling, everyone was enjoying themselves. Even the brooding Uchiha managed a couple of smirks. And the flashback. Flashback again. It was another training day for Team 7 with their scarecrow of a sensei. They were all practicing taijutsu katas. Move your right arm slightly apart, Sasuke said towards Sakura, who quickly nodded, blushing. Back in the trees, Kakashi chuckled to himself. His team was doing just fine. And a flashback. Flashback again. Team 7 had just engaged a couple bandits and Sasuke had saved Sakura. The enemy was about to kill her when Sasuke's body blocked the strike, taking the hit in a less critical area. Why? Sakura asked, sobbing. I don't know. My body moved on its own, Sasuke explained, removing the kunai from his shoulder. Thank you, Sakura said and gently kissed his cheek. What was that for? Sasuke yelled, rubbing his cheek. Oh, shut up. You liked it, Sakura chirped while Sasuke scoffed but managed a small smile. Whipped, Kiba stated, making Sasuke glare at him. And a flashback. Flashback again. It was another simple mission that would last a couple of days. It was night, and the weather was warm, so everyone on the team decided to sleep out in the open. Sasuke had yet to fall asleep and was watching the starry sky deep in thought. Sasuke was so deep in thought he didn't notice a certain pink-haired girl roll over in her sleep. Sasuke tried to move, but found it difficult. He looked down to see Sakura cuddling with him. She had intertwined her legs with his and was sleeping peacefully on his chest. Troublesome, Sasuke muttered to himself, while slightly blushing, but did nothing to separate her from him. And a flashback. Like I thought, Sasuke started. I am nothing like any of you. I won't stop at nothing in my quest, Sasuke coldly said before disappearing in a blur and reappearing right behind Sakura. Sakura, I'm sorry, Sasuke said as he picked up a kunai and quickly slit her throat. Sakura tried to say something, but only a blade gurgle was heard. Sakura fell to her knees and dropped to the ground, lifeless. Sasuke was still staying in the same place, frozen. Sasuke felt something watery on his face. He swiped his cheek with his hands and noticed that they were tears. He was crying. Sasuke's chakra spiked and his Sharingan flared to life. It had two tomoes. A big chunk of chakra was funneling towards his eyes, and Sasuke's Sharingan started spinning. It quickly became a free Tomoe Sharingan, but continued to spin, and started to shift its form. His eyes stopped spinning, and the whole pattern was different. His eyes were black in the background with three blood-red intersecting ellipses. Sasuke's eyes had changed into the all-powerful Mangekyo Sharingan. Now that I have eyes like you, Sasuke started, I will hunt you down, oh Nissan, older brother. And that is the end of chapter 32. So, Sakura kind of died in this entire chapter. And I'm going to read a bit of a author's note here about this entire chapter from the author legacy. He felt terrible for killing Sakura, even though he was a Naruto Hina fan at the time, because this was written like 6 years ago or so. And even though she was a pain in the ass in the fanfic, she was changing. He feels guilty for killing her because of the development he was giving her, but Sasuke kind of needed his next eyes, and this was the best plot device to kind of do that, unfortunately. And he didn't have any plans of bringing her back permanently, which means you guys know how she's going to come back in a temporary fashion. And that will be revealed, though, in the next chapter, as we get into chapter 33, which is called Sound 4. Here we go. Chapter 33, Sound 4. Middle of Fire Country. The Sound 4 were dashing through the Fire Country at top speed, carrying a very large barrel. Sasuke was trapped inside the barrel as he was advancing his curse seal to the next level. Pushing the curse seal into progressing to level 2 puts a lot of strain into the user's body, so Sasuke was inside the barrel, which slows down the seal's progression. By slowing it down, it allows the seal to advance safely. We are being tracked by a team of 5 Konoha shinobi, Kimimaro said, as a small spire stood calmly in his hand as if talking to him. Can we outrun them? Drobo asked. No. We are carrying the barrel and they are gaining on us. I estimate 1 hour until they catch up, Kimimaro explained. Why don't we just stop and kill the bastards, Taiyu yelled, but Kimimaro shook his head. We stand no chance. Among them is Senju Naruto, the Konoha no Raijin, Konoha's Thunder God, an S-rank shinobi. He's the blonde brat from the invasion, the one who broke into the barrier and crippled Orochimaru-sama. And then there is Hinata, the Shino Megami, Death Goddess, an A-rank shinobi, Kimimaro stated as they all cursed their luck. They might be strong, but even they weren't a match for Orochimaru, much less one who can go toe-to-toe against him and come out the winner. And to top it all off, there is an elite join among them. Just great, Taiyu sarcastically said. How the fuck do you even know all that? Taiyu asked. If you read the bingo book, you would know, Kimimaro stated. After all, we placed them there. So what do we do now, shithead? Taiyu asked. Language, Taiyu Sakon said, shaking his head. They're going to catch up to us. We need backup if we are going to complete our mission. I'm sending word to Orochimaru-sama, Kimimaro said, and sent one of his spiders who sank underground. In the meantime, set up traps to slow them down, Kimimaro said, and they all nodded. If Sasuke would just wake up from his coma, they could easily outrun them, but carrying the heavy barrel was slowing them down. A few hours earlier, Konoha. It was a bright new day in Konoha, and the warm feeling already radiating in the air. It was going to be another beautiful day. The sun was coming up, shining upon Konoha, the wind was rustling, birds were chirping, and we already could see a few people walking around the streets. It was the beginning of a fresh new day in the Leaf Village. Ever since the Uchiha clan massacre, the patrols of Konoha fell to the Anbu jurisdiction. The usual setup for a patrol team was an Inuzuka and a Hyuga for tracking, and usually there would be a member from the Nara clan, and to top it all off, a powerhouse in ninjutsu. This setup allowed for the team to track and detect any problems and, if need be, restrain or kill the enemy. Currently, we find a fresh new team doing their morning patrol. They are jumping from rooftop to rooftop, keeping a discreet profile. The Inuzuka members signaled their team to stop when he noticed a weird smell. Something wrong, Boar? The snake mask Anbu asked. I have picked up an odd smell. It smells highly of carbon, the boar mask Anbu replied, and the snake Anbu made a signal for their team to follow the Inuzuka to the location of said smell. In less than a minute, the Anbu team reached the origin of the smell. They all jumped down from the roofs and landed on the ground. They followed Boar and they came across a bunch of ashes. The Inuzuka sniffed the ashes and his eyes widened. These are not ordinary ashes. This was someone, Boar said. It's obvious that it was some kind of cover-up. We must report this to the Hokage, Snake said, and they disappeared in a blur, leaving a member to guard the site. Senju Compound. For the first time since last night, the Senju Compound was peaceful. Naruto was sleeping next to his princess. Tsunade and Jiraiya were quiet this night, as far as Naruto knew. But like everything else, there is always an end. Naruto! Hinata! A loud and cranky voice echoed through the whole compound. Naruto jolted out of bed with Hinata in tow. He turned to look around, adjusting to the new light, and noticed Tsunade by the door. Get your asses out of bed and meet me at my office in 5 minutes, Tsunade yelled, and Naruto grumbled at Tsunade not getting enough last night. She gave us a couple days off and yanks us out of bed at 10 in the morning, Naruto muttered, since he didn't get much sleep the previous night due to Tsunade's activities. Be nice, Naruto-kun. If she called, it must be important, Hinata said, pecking his cheek and going into the bathroom. Naruto just sighed and sent a shadow clone to prepare them a quick breakfast while they got dressed. Not even 5 minutes later, both Naruto and Hinata were ready to leave. Naruto placed an arm around Hinata, pulling her closer, much to her delight, and swirled away towards the Hokage's office. They had been wondering what all the fuss was about, but if they knew what expected them, they would have stayed in bed. Hokage's office. What the hell is that? Kiba blurted out towards the incoming Hokage. Tsunade had activated her space bridge in her office so she could wake up Naruto and Hinata. Tsunade had literally walked through a wall. Just something Naruto set up so I didn't have to walk all the way from the Senju compound and back, Tsunade explained and took a seat. Next to her was Hiruzen. In front of her were almost all of the rookies. The Sand siblings were away on a mission, as was Team 9, with Guy, so in front of her were Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, and Kiba. Both Sakura and Sasuke were nowhere to be found. Naruto-chan? Kiba asked, laughing. Where is little Naruto-chan? Kiba asked, laughing, while the others snickered. You have a problem with my little Naruto-chan? Tsunade asked in a dangerous tone. No, Hokage-sama, Kiba quickly replied, bowing. Around 5 minutes later, Naruto and Hinata appeared in a swirl in the middle of the office. Tsunade was already used to it, but the others still found it surprising to see Naruto use this type of technique. Space-time techniques were a field so unexplored that it was extremely rare to see one, with the exception of the summoning technique, of course. So, Naruto started. What's all the fuss about? Naruto asked to his fellow rookies. We don't know either, Kiba replied. Naruto-chan, Kiba said in a mocking voice. Naruto turned to glare at his grandmother, who shrugged him off. Listen up, Tsunade said, gathering the attention of the rookies. All of the rookies were summoned except for Sasuke, who wasn't at his compound and couldn't be found. Tsunade started. I have some bad news. Sakura is dead, Tsunade said, and everything went silent. None of the rookies said anything, as they were just staring at their Hokage and processing what they just heard. What? Kiba asked in a weak voice. Apparently Kiba was the first to break from the trance. I'm sorry, but it's true. Sakura was murdered last night, Tsunade said, and everyone was shocked that one of their classmates had died and was assassinated in the first place. No, Ino said, sobbing. That can't be true. Who would hurt her? Ino asked, crying, tears flowing from her eyes as she clutched to someone nearby, who happened to be Hinata. We don't know, Tsunade started. This might be difficult to hear, but she was found as nothing more than ashes. We compared the remaining DNA material across the hospital database, and it came out positive to be Haruno Sakura's. I'm sorry, Tsunade said sadly. Sakura had been working hard at the hospital, and she was showing promise as a good medic nen, but it seemed that her life had been cut short. The reactions were varied, but everyone was sad to see a classmate dead. Kiba frowned, Akamaru was whining, but only Ino was openly crying. It wasn't much of a shocker, after all. Sakura was Ino's best friend. They had known each other for years and had been best friends and rivals since they were little girls. Who did it? Kiba asked, with his anger surfacing. The one that killed Sakura would pay dearly. We don't know, Tsunade said, turning to Naruto, who raised an eyebrow. That's why I called you, Naruto. Can you turn back to yesterday and do something about it? Tsunade asked. Sorry, but the max I ever did was 12 seconds. Not even close to half a day, Naruto said, shaking his head. Then there is no choice, Tsunade said, and picked up a small vial and threw it at Naruto. What is this? Naruto asked while looking carefully at the vial. It was a small blood sample. Is this for? Naruto asked, and Tsunade only nodded. Naruto looked back at his friends and to Ino, who was almost catatonic. Do you think they can handle it? Naruto asked. We have no choice. Do it, Tsunade said, and Naruto nodded. Everyone stand back, Naruto said, and pulled out a large scroll before starting to write kanji on it. What are you doing? Kiba asked, confused. What had blood to do with Sakura's murder in the first place? He's going to bring her back temporarily so she can tell us who killed her, Hinata explained, and everyone's jaws dropped while Ino was a little bit happy she could say goodbye. Just how powerful are you? Kiba thought, looking at Naruto concentrating on writing the kanji perfectly. Shadow clone jutsu, Naruto said, and formed a single clone who went and got seated in a circle in the middle of the scroll. Naruto dropped a few drops of Sakura's blood to the scroll and started going through hand seals. Tiger, snake, dog, dragon, and clapped his hands. Kuchios, Edo Tensei, impure world resurrection, Naruto said, and around the clone, leaves started to curl up his body, engulfing him completely. Slowly, Naruto's clone started taking the form of Sakura. Her long pink dress formed, then Naruto's blonde hair turned into pink, his deep blue eyes became green ones, and in just a couple of seconds, Haruno Sakura was back from the pure world and into this world. Where am I? Sakura gradually asked before she remembered the events that led to her death. Sasuke! Sakura yelled, and everyone had their eyes widened. I guess that answers the question, Naruto sadly said. Sakura, Tsunade said, making her focus on her. Tell us what happened, Tsunade said, and Sakura nodded slowly. Sure, Sakura said and gathered her thoughts. I was walking through the village last night, and it was already dark, so everything was quiet. I was going home when Sasuke and I crossed paths. He had a backpack on his back, and he was going towards the gates. He was leaving the village, Sakura said, and everyone was surprised. Minus Naruto, who had always thought that it would end up like that. I tried to convince him to stay, but he didn't listen, Sakura replied, sobbing. He suddenly appeared behind me and slit my throat, Sakura explained, and they all gasped at the brutality. I don't know why he did it. We were starting to get close, Sakura explained, and Ino quickly ran towards her and hugged her. It would be the last time they would all be together. Could it be? Naruto thought before he turned to Kiba. Kiba, were Sasuke and Sakura close? Naruto asked. What has that got to do with this? Kiba asked, confused. Answer the damn question, Naruto demanded, and Kiba quickly nodded. I noticed a few things, Kiba started. He would help her with her training, he answered some questions instead of replying and a couple other small things, Kiba explained, and Naruto frowned. Shit, Naruto said, rubbing his temples. I told you that this would happen, Naruto said, turning to the Sandaime, who sighed. You know why he did it? Sakura asked, and Naruto nodded. He killed you so he could advance his eyes to the next level, Naruto explained, but got confused faces from almost everyone. What you know about the Sharingan is very scarce. You all think that the last level is the Fritomoid one, but that is a lie. Naruto started. There is another level above the normal Sharingan. It's called the Mangekyo Sharingan, and provides the user with fearsome abilities, both in Genjutsu and Ninjutsu. Look at mine, Naruto said, and showed everyone his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. They were dumbfounded. They never knew that there was another stage to the Sharingan. Now, to simplify things, picture it this way. There are two sides to the Uchiha clan. From the Uchiha's main line, like me, this level is achieved by hard work, training, or life and death situations. However, for the branch line of the Uchihas, like Sasuke, They have to kill someone they care about to unlock it, Naruto explained, and once again everyone was shell-shocked. Sasuke needs to kill someone close to his heart to achieve the next level. When they feel the pain and regret of killing that special someone, it triggers a reaction that unlocks their eyes, Naruto explained, and everyone frowned, but not like the old Hokage. Naruto had warned him that something like this could happen, and happen it did. Sasuke killed me just for his eyes? Sakura said, sobbing. She loved that bastard. They were getting closer, but perhaps all that was just a ruse, so Sasuke could unlock his eyes. He did care for you, Sakura, Naruto said, looking at her with compassion. Otherwise, it wouldn't work for him, Naruto explained, and Sakura nodded. What now? Naruto asked, turning to Tsunade. We hunt his ass down and kill him on the spot, Kiba barked out, and everyone seemed to be in agreement. Sakura, Tsunade said, gathering her attention. What time was it when it happened? Tsunade asked, trying to ascertain the distance at which he could be by now. It was around 11, Sakura replied. She had calmed down, but still couldn't believe that Sasuke would just kill her for power. I guess she was naive about him and his lust for power. But I don't understand why he would leave the village, Sakura said. Power, Naruto simply said, but decided to explain further. You know that his older brother, Uchiha Itachi, killed his clan a couple of years ago, right? Naruto asked, and they all nodded. He wants power so he can avenge his family by killing his brother. He has grown up with this fixation, and it's the very reason for his being. It's the reason why he breathes. Killing his brother has become his life goal, and he must have felt too weak here, Naruto explained. During the second stage of the Chunin exams, Orochimaru the Snake Sanin came into contact with him and offered him power. If he felt that Konoha was hindering his growth, he would jump at the chance of power without question, Naruto concluded, and Sakura frowned. I'm issuing all of you minus Ino an S-rank mission, Tsunade said in a strong voice, rising from her chair. You are to retrieve Uchiha Sasuke so he can face trial. If the retrieval proves impossible, you are to execute him at the spot, bring his head, and destroy his body, Tsunade ordered, and everyone nodded. That bastard would pay for killing one of their classmates in cold blood. He seems to be around 20 miles to the north, Naruto said, as he had one hand in the tiger seal. How do you know that? Tsunade asked, surprised. You weren't Hokage yet, but during the second phase of the Chunin exams, Orochimaru branded Sasuke with a cursed seal. I eventually placed restraint seal on it, but along with it, I add the Shiki seal for my Harashin just in case, Naruto explained, and Hiruzen was surprised that Naruto would think of doing that. Then just go get him and we'll wait right here, Tsunade said, but Naruto shook his head. Something is interfering with his cursed seal. I can barely feel my marker and it's becoming weaker and weaker by the second. At this point, I can't jump to him, Naruto explained, frowning, but Tsunade nodded anyways. Can't you use her Sharingan space-time technique, Tsunade asked, but Naruto shook his head. For me to try using my Kamui, I need to warp into my dimension. The problem is that once I'm there, I can't feel my markers, so I don't know where to exit, Naruto explained, and Tsunade frowned. It's better than nothing. Naruto, you are in charge. You got his position, get going, Tsunade ordered, and they all nodded. Gear up and meet up at the north gate in 1 hour, Naruto ordered. Sakura, Naruto said, turning to her. You are here temporarily for as long as my clone lasts. However, I can't guarantee that I can hold it in battle. Use the time you have to say goodbye, Naruto sadly said. Thank you, Naruto, Sakura said, and hugged everyone goodbye as they all left to hunt the traitor. Konoha North Gates, 1 hour later. 1 hour later, everyone was gathered at the gates so they could hunt down their traitor of a classmate. Their mission was simple. Retrieve Uchiha Sasuke for trial or kill him and dispose of the body so that other villages couldn't learn the secrets of the Uchiha. Not that with only a couple of them alive would do them any good. Senju Naruto, Hyuga Hinata, Akamichi Choji, Orochimaru, and Inuzuka Kiba were the members chosen for this mission. All of them were at the gate ready to leave, all battle ready. Naruto-san, someone slowly said, and Naruto turned back to see Haruno Mibuki, Sakura's mother. I know that I'm in no position to ask you this, not after everything I did, but can you please bring that bastard back so he can pay for what he did to my daughter, Mibuki asked. I already told everyone that I hold no grudge against any of you, Naruto started. I promise that I will do my best to retrieve him so he can face trial and pay for what he did, Naruto said, and Mibuki thanked him. We have Nuchiya to hunt. Move out, Naruto said, and everyone on his team dashed out of the gates. Middle of Fire Country. Naruto and his team were running at full speed towards Uchiha Sasuke. For some reason, Sasuke seemed to be still, as if he wasn't moving at all. Naruto didn't know why he would do such a risky move while still inside the Fire Country, but he didn't judge. It was better for them if Sasuke stopped. It gave them time to catch up. Kiba, do you have Sasuke's scent? Naruto asked, and Kiba nodded. Good. My marker has gone dark. It's up to you now, Naruto said, and he nodded, taking point. However, I smell 4 other scents in the same direction as Sasuke, Kiba explained, and Naruto brought a hand to his chin. It's possible that Sasuke had help, Naruto stated. What does it smell like? Naruto asked, and Kiba sniffed the air. Snakes, Kiba said. Looks like Orochimaru sent help, Naruto reasoned. We're closing in at his position, Kiba stated, and Naruto took point. Alright, team, Naruto said as they all stopped. You'll be approaching him stealthily. We don't know what kind of backup Orochimaru sends, so let's be careful. I'll leave a few shadow clones behind in case we're ambushed. Hinata, use your Byakugan to search for traps, Naruto explained, and everyone nodded. They all walked very stealthily towards the origin of Sasuke's smell. Hinata had already spotted a couple of traps, and they were able to easily disable them. They arrived near the position, and Hinata looked around, spotting them. The Sound Four were resting in a nearby clearing with a large barrel. They bear the musical note as the headband symbol, so they must belong to Otogake, Hinata said. Makes sense. It appears that Orochimaru sent help to retrieve him, Naruto said, and activated his Sharingan to have a better look at them. They were a bit far away, but using his Sharingan, he easily identified them. They are the Sound Four, Naruto said, but got confused faces from his team. They are Orochimaru's elite bodyguards, and they're the ones who set up the barrier during the invasion, Naruto explained, and they all nodded. If they're elite, do you think we can take them all on? Kiba asked, but Naruto nodded nonetheless. I felt their chakra. They are ordinary Chunin. They are no match against me or Hinata, Naruto explained. Get in position, Naruto ordered, and they all nodded. Naruto swirled away and appeared a few meters on top of them. He was standing in a tree overlooking them. The rest of his team all took positions flanking the Sound Four from all positions. The last one to get in position was Choji, who was silently approaching his position. Crunch! Choji inadvertently stepped on a small twig, and, Choji being rather on the heavy side, the twig snapped loud enough for even Naruto to hear. There goes her stealthy approach, Naruto muttered under his breath as the Sound Four instantly jumped into action at the noise, taking defensive actions. Kuronosu, Naruto said, and everything turned back to the point Choji had yet to step on the twig. Naruto quickly flashed near Choji as he had tagged every member of his team before the fight. Naruto pointed to the twig on the ground, and Choji rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. Naruto swirled away to his previous location, and they all waited for the go-ahead from Naruto. Naruto made a hand movement, and hundreds of shuriken rained on the Sound Four, coming from all sides and going above, leaving them no chance for evasion. Doton, Doryuheki, Earthfall, a voice cried out from the Sound Four. An Earth Dome rose from the ground and shielded everyone inside, making the shurikens useless. We knew you were coming a while ago, Kimimaro said, and the Earth Dome crumbled to the ground to show the Sound Four with smirks on their faces. Naruto's team all regrouped since their attack failed, and Naruto dropped from the tree and landed in between his team facing the Sound Four. Hinata, Naruto started. Is Sasuke in the barrel? Naruto asked, as he didn't see Sasuke anywhere, but Kiba said he was around, so it didn't take a genius to figure it out. Yes, Hinata said, analyzing the barrel with her Byakugan. Although something is happening to him. It looks like the curse seal is covering his whole body, and his heart rate is very low. It seems like he's in some kind of induced coma, but his chakra network is extremely active, Hinata explained. That's why my marker failed. They did something to the cursed seal, Naruto concluded, and thought as it was the most logical outcome. Our mission is the retrieval of Uchiha Sasuke for the murder of a Konoha shinobi. If you stand aside, we will allow you to leave unharmed, Naruto said stoically, with his Sharingan blazing and glowing. You say that after you attacked us. You aren't leaving this place alive. Besides, Orochimaru-sama would kill us if we didn't deliver his vessel, Kimimaro said. Vessel? Naruto asked, confused. Orochimaru-sama switches his mind from body to body anytime he pleases. By doing so, he remains alive. Orochimaru-sama is an immortal, Kimimaro explained, and smirked at the disgusted faces of Konoha shinobi. So that's why he wants Sasuke. He wants the Sharingan, Naruto thought to himself before looking directly at the supposed leader of the group. What is your choice then? Naruto asked, but his smirk told him everything. It looked like they weren't going to get Sasuke back without a fight. Gunbai. Fan win, Naruto said as his chakra spiked. He placed his right hand on his fan's handle and, with a mighty swing, he unleashed a very powerful gust of wind. Everything in front of him was blasted away. Trees were ripped apart from the ground, and the sound were blasted away. Everything in front of Naruto, in the shape of a cone, was decimated. He's pissed, and I thought looking at Naruto. He never did really channel so much chakra into his attacks, because they tend to be very destructive. Damn! Woo! Kiba said, whistling at the destruction in front of him. Incoming, Hannah said, and everyone took defensive stances. Against them were incoming strange golem projectiles. Hinata jumped in front of her team and performed a kaiten, destroying all the projectiles. Suddenly, they all felt themselves unable to move. A small tune echoed through the clearing. It was a beautiful tune. Naruto and Hinata easily saw the chakra being transmitted through the sound waves, meaning it was a genjutsu. They easily broke through it themselves and freed their teammates. They looked around and all the sound force dropped in front of them. Naruto channeled chakra to his sword seal and out came his Chikuto. He immediately channeled through it and the sword started swirling with a light blue aura. Naruto dashed towards the sound for alone. Naruto arrived near them and began his onslaught of the sound shinobi. He sidestepped a punch with Sakon and used the opportunity to duck and sweep the legs of Taiya. Taiya jumped to avoid the leg sweep but was unable to block his kick that came from nowhere. Taiya placed her arms to block but was thrown backwards nonetheless. Naruto quickly rose up and performed a horizontal swing with his sword. Sakon tilted his head to the side and the sword grazed his hair, leaving a few strings flowing in the air. Naruto jumped up just to avoid a kick from Jirobo, which was about to connect to his body. Naruto placed a hand on his knees for leverage and twisted mid-air, bringing his sword against Kimimaro and quickly chopped one of his arms off. Kimimaro grunted in pain and jumped back to heal himself while Sakon and Jirobo distracted him, with Taiya giving her support to her team. Kimimaro only had time to form a small plate of his golem material as a Juken strike connected with his chest. He coughed and jumped away again. Hinata looked at him curiously with her Byakugan, and noticed small barriers that formed just above his skin. The skin was thick enough that her chakra lace attack didn't penetrate deep enough to kill him. Why is it that every enemy that I fight has a way to render my Juken useless, Hinata thought, as she remembered her fight with Yukito back at the Chunin exams and now this one. Back to Naruto, he was kicking the crap out of the Sound 4. Taiya's genjutsu was useless against him, Jirobo was simply too slow to even come close to hit him, and Sakon just didn't have the necessary skills to face him in a taijutsu brawl. Naruto jumped to the side to avoid a club that came from a doki controlled by Taiya. Naruto was mid-air when his Sharingan spotted some chakra mulling to his right side. He sent a golden chain to the ground and so he could maneuver himself while in mid-air. He touched the ground to see multiple spiral webs coming towards him. He raised an eyebrow towards Kimimaro who was spitting out silk. Naruto brought his sword and simply cleaved the web in two, making it fall to the ground. Oddly enough, Naruto was being overrun as he simply couldn't move himself fast enough to cleave all the webs coming towards him. Katon, Ryuka no Chutsu, Fire Dragon Technique, Naruto said, and sent a torrent of fire towards Kimimaro. The fire obliterated any incoming webs and crashed into Kimimaro, making him jump away if he didn't want to become extra crispy. Gatsuga, Fein over Fein, Nikudan Sensha, Human Bullet Tank, Kiba and Choshi both yelled at them, and Kiba's partner Akamaru starts spinning going towards one of Taiya's doki. Their attack connected and completely destroyed it, leaving nothing but chunks on the ground. Taiya cursed her luck and began to focus again. Naruto was engaged in Sakon and Ukon in combat. He was about to cleave Sakon's head off when another arm came out from his body and blocked it. After it, the whole arm became a body and stepped out from Sakon's original body as it had been duplicated. Naruto had to jump away if he didn't want to get crushed by another swing from the dokis. Time to get rid of these annoying doki, Naruto thought to himself as he channeled chakra into his eyes. Amaterasu, Naruto said, and the remaining 2 dokis erupted in black flames. They swarmed around the field, smashing and destroying things randomly until there were nothing more than ashes on the ground. We need level 2 now, Taiya yelled to her teammates as black markings started spraying themselves around each one of the Sound 4. The black markings easily covered the whole body, changing their color skin to an unnatural brown. Taiya gained horns, and Kitamura gained an extra eye in the middle of his forehead. What is this? Naruto wondered and thought. Naruto clearly seen the black marks spraying through their bodies, meaning it was the cursed seal, but this version seemed far more powerful than the one he knew. Is it another version? Naruto thought to himself. Naruto dodged a punch from Jirobo, who crashed into the ground and made a pretty decent crater. It's like Bachan's punches, Naruto shivered at the thought of getting hit by one of those. Naruto looked to his right and noticed that Kitamura had some type of golden arrow pointed directly at him and getting ready to fire it. Kitamura fired the arrow and it was coming in hot to Naruto. Naruto blurred from his position and arrived near Jirobo. Naruto channeled lightning chakra into his knees and delivered it to Jirobo's gut. Jirobo buckled in pain and let out a gasp. Naruto picked up Jirobo and threw him towards the incoming arrow. Jirobo couldn't dodge midair and, as such, got pierced through his right shoulder, making his right arm useless. Jirobo fell to the ground, spitting out blood with labored breaths. Shit, Kitamura thought to himself, as he had missed his target and ended up hitting a teammate. Ukon appeared next to Naruto and tried to merge with him, only to phase right through him. The moment Ukon had phased through him, Naruto quickly turned around and blocked Ukon's elbow with both arms. Naruto extended Ukon's arm and easily broke it at his elbow junction. Ukon screamed in pain, but was quickly muffled as he was absorbed into Naruto's dimension, leaving a panicking Sakon behind. This is not going well, Taiya thought to herself as she took notice to her teammate's status. Kitamura had a missing arm, Jirobo had his right arm disabled and was bleeding from his right shoulder, Sakon just lost his counterpart, and she herself had lost her dokis. She decided to help her teammates and rushed Naruto to engage him in a taijutsu battle. In level 2, her speed and strength were greatly increased. Naruto turned around to see Taiya running towards him and smirked. He activated his Kamui and sank underground, leaving Taiya furiously looking for him. Come out, you bastard, Taiya yelled. Naruto suddenly emerged right in front of her and gave her an uppercut. Taiya was thrown upwards and Naruto delivered a kick to her stomach, sending her flying. Not having enough, Naruto summoned one of his chains and attached it to Taiya's ankle. He spun around and threw Taiya into Sakon, who didn't see her coming. Die! Kitamura said as he fired another golden arrow. Naruto smirked as he used his Kamui and placed Ukon right in front of the arrow, trapping him in a chokehold. The arrow pierced Ukon's heart cleanly and phased through Naruto, leaving Ukon's body without even slowing down. Ukon fell to the ground dead and was easily burned to ashes as Naruto used a fire attack to light him up. No! Sakon yelled as he watched his counterpart being killed. What are you doing, Kitamura? Sakon yelled at his partner as he had just killed a piece of him. The bastard has more tricks than I know, Kitamura replied, but that was the wrong move. Naruto took advantage of his distraction and bored his way towards him and locked eyes with him. Kitamura let out a small gasp as he looked into the Sharingan. A small shadow crept behind him and trapped him at the spot. Not even 1 second later, Hinata appeared next to him and using her daggers with wind chakra, she cleaved Kitamura's head clean off. His head rolled onto the ground as the curse mark retracted and his skin regained the normal color. Shit, they got Kitamura, Taiya cursed as she watched the leader of the Sound 4 die. These odds weren't looking good, and only 2 of the Konoha shinobi were actively battling them. Even if they were in level 2, they stood no chance against Naruto and Hinata. Suiton, Sweet Shoha, exploding water wave, Hinata said, and pumped her lungs full of chakra. Right on. Ryudan, Lion Dragon, Naruto said, and sent his own Lion Dragon crashing into Hinata's water attack. Naruto's line spread across the ocean that Hinata created and washed up against the remain of the Sound Four, who were too weak to even dodge. They all washed up in a nearby tree, twitching and spasming on the ground. They are finished, Naruto said as he looked towards the remain of the Sound Four, who were barely conscious at that point. Get Sasuke out of the barrel, and let's take him back home, Naruto ordered as he made his way towards the Sound Four to kill them. Coo. Splendid, a new voice echoed for declaring. Everyone jumped at the sudden voice and regrouped. How nice of you to join us, Orochimaru, Naruto sarcastically said, as they all took defensive stances in front of the barrel that contained Sasuke. How dare you speak to Orochimaru-sama with such language? Another person that was close to Orochimaru yelled. That someone pointed his finger at Naruto and fired something from them. Naruto easily tracked them with his Sharingan and dodged all of them, catching one of his fingers. Did he just throw a bone at me? Naruto asked to Hinata, who nodded. Do I look like a dog? Naruto asked him and threw the bones at Akamaru, who proceeded to eat them, making Kimimara's eye twitch. Naruto looked at the person that attacked him and he had pale skin, vivid green eyes, masculine facial features, 2 scarlet dots on his forehead, and shoulder-length white hair, which he wore divided down the middle on his head with 2 separate partings on either side of his face. He wore a specialized version of the traditional Otonin ensemble, consisting of a light lavender, loose-fitting, long-sleeved, zip-up shirt, black pants cut off around mid-calf, bandages wrapped around his ankles, traditional shinobi sandals, and a purple rope-like belt tied in an inverted bow around his waist. He also wore 2 red tube-like hair ornaments, one on either side of his head, securing 2 locks of his silvery white hair. He did not wear a sound headband, despite his extreme loyalty to Orochimaru. His cursed seal of earth is applied at the base of his throat, where it is a circular pattern of 3 curved lines. It looks like he fired from his fingertips, but he already has more ready. He seems to be able to control his bones, now explained, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Bones? Naruto pondered until it clicked. You're a Kaguya, aren't you? Naruto asked, and the man simply nodded. I thought you were all killed when you guys attacked Kiri a few years ago, Naruto stated. I'm Kaguya Kimimaro, the last of the Kaguya clan. Faithful servant of Orochimaru-sama, Kimimaro stoically said. Bright as always, Naruto-kun, Naruto heard someone say, and turned to see a figure approaching behind Orochimaru. Kabuto? Naruto asked, shocked to see Kabuto staying there, as he had clearly killed him. Naruto looked closely at him until he noticed that his eyes were black, and his skin had cracks. You're an Edo Tensei, Naruto said, and Kabuto chuckled. I'm too valuable to simply be discarded by Orochimaru-sama. Although, you forced Orochimaru-sama to take an early vessel, Kabuto stated, pushing his glasses up. So you came for your next vessel, Naruto asked, looking at the barrel that contained Sasuke. It's unfortunate that I can't have you, so I'll just take the backup, Orochimaru said, chuckling. You think we'll just let you take him away, Naruto asked, smirking. This doesn't look good. A battle between me and Orochimaru will be very destructive, and I can't protect those free while I'm fighting. Even more with that Kimimaro and Kabuto in the mix, Naruto thought, considering what to do. I can do hand seals now, Naruto-kun, and I'll be taking Sasuke-kun with me, whether you like it or not, Orochimaru said, licking his lips. Kabuto, Orochimaru said towards his servant. Heal the rest of the Sound Four to your best extent, Orochimaru ordered, and Kabuto complied. Kabuto went towards Taiya and healed a few scratches and broken bones. He gave a couple of food and blood replenishing pills to Jirobo and did the same to Sakon. Gulp. What are we going to do? Kiba asked, gulping. He didn't like being against one of the Sannin. This is the golden opportunity to end the snake for good. Let's start by taking out the Sound Four, Naruto thought to himself as he readied himself to use his Harasshin. He had already marked every single one of the Sound Four during his battle against them. Kamui. Naruto whispered and tried to absorb Kabuto into his dimension, but it was too slow, and Kabuto immediately jumped away to gain distance from his current location. Too slow, Naruto-kun, Kabuto said smirking, and pushed his glasses up but was confused when he saw Naruto smirk as well. Who said you were the target? Naruto rhetorically asked, as the sword sparkled and disappeared in a yellow flash. Everyone just had time to blink as Naruto only seemed to shimmer from his location. Everyone raised an eyebrow in confusion until they heard several thump sounds. They looked around to the remaining members of the Sound Four without their heads. I like these odds more, Naruto said smirking, and Orochimaru gritted his teeth. He had just lost 4 of his most powerful men, and Naruto had killed the last 3 in the blink of an eye. This brat is dangerous, Kimimaro thought, as he looked at Naruto very carefully. What the hell? Kiba yelled as he saw the heads of the Sound Four plop to the ground. He didn't even see Naruto move from his position. Kiba, Choji, Shikamaru, you guys take on Kabuto. Be careful, because he's an Edo Tensei. His body is immortal and his chakra is limitless. You need to restrain or cripple him and then apply this tag to his body, Naruto explained, and hand him the tag. Once you place the tag on his body, his soul will be released. He's as strong as Kakashi-sensei, so be very careful, Naruto said, and everyone nodded. Hinata, you take on Kimimaro. You both should be around the same level in taijutsu. His bloodline allows him free control over every bone, Naruto explained, and she nodded. I'll take on Orochimaru, Naruto said, looking at the smirking snake. You sure you can handle him? Shikamaru asked. He's one of the Sannin. Don't worry, I already fought against him twice and nearly killed him the last time, Naruto said, as if reminiscing his memories. Let's see if you can take me on alone now, Orochimaru said and started releasing his chakra. Choji, Kiba, and Shikamaru cringed at the feeling that they got. They felt as nothing more than ants at the face of such an adversary. However, their jaws dropped when Naruto unleashed his own chakra that seemed to match and even surpass Orochimaru. The ground around them started cracking from the pressure. A cloud of dust was starting to form around their feet due to the chakra output. Naruto's hair flapped wildly as his chakra seemed endless and extremely powerful. They both disappeared in a blur, and a loud shockwave echoed through the clearing, meaning that those two had begun their battle. Let's go, Hinata said, and everyone took their positions. Hinata versus Kimimaro. Hinata and Kimimaro both took their positions in respective stances in front of each other. Kimimaro seemed to be relaxed and more than confident in his abilities. Don't get me wrong, he didn't have the air of arrogance around him, but anyone could see that he was confident in his abilities. Hinata had her Byakugan activated and was studying her enemy to her best extent. Her Byakugan would come particularly helpful against him, as she could see the bones coming out of his body before they even left it. Although something seemed wrong with his body, Kimimaro's system seemed to be on overdrive and his metabolism seemed to be higher than average. They both blurred for each other and engaged in a heat battle in taijutsu. Neither one of them was gaining advantage over the other. Kimimaro was physically stronger, but Hinata was faster and more flexible. Tsubaki no Mai, dance of the camellia, Kimimaro said, and Hinata watched as a bone started protruding from his left shoulder. It was a small bit at first, but then became more and more visible as it came out. Kimimaro placed his right hand on it and pulled the rest of the bone out. It was a short, bone-hilted bone sword. Suddenly, he dashed towards Hinata at great speed and performed a series of fast stabbings, trying to confuse Hinata as some attacks mirrored after images. However, that wasn't a problem for Hinata's Byakugan. Even though it seemed after images to regular eyes, Hinata's Byakugan could easily track all of them, and she proceeded to dodge every single strike Kimimaro performed. It was like she was dancing. If Kimimaro stabbed in front, she sidestepped to the left. Kimimaro would readjust the trajectory, but Hinata would simply dodge again. Having enough of just dodging, Hinata waited for another stab that was a bit to her right. The moment it came, she sidestepped it and swatted his arm away. Taking advantage of Kimimaro's error, she recoiled her right arm and said, Hake, Kusho, air palm. Kimimaro was hit square on at point blank by an air palm right to his chest. Kimimaro was thrown backwards and crashed into the ground, but was unharmed. Teshi Sendon, 10-finger drilling bullets, Kimimaro said as he got back up. He pointed his fingers at Hinata and fired his fingertips at her with great speed. Hinata could easily track them for Byakugan and simply dodge them. Suitan Mizurapa! Wild water wave, Hinata said, and unleashed a stream of water from her mouth. The water was sent towards Kimimaro and jumped away to avoid it. He looked around for Hinata, only for her to appear behind him. Hake! Roku Juyon Sho! 64 palms of the hand, Hinata said, and began her attacks by closing the major chakra points. In the middle of her attack, she was forced to jump back when bones popped out of his chest, giving her no choice but to make some distance. This is why I say that juking is almost useless, Hinata thought, sighing. Kimimaro had created some bone plates beneath his skin that were thick enough for a juken strike to be rendered useless. Her flowing fist was useless against Kimimaro, and as such, she would need to come up with another plan. She would have to resort to her poisons and ninjutsu and attack at his most vulnerable point, his neck. Kimimaro rushed Hinata as he had the advantage in a taijutsu fight. Yanagi no Mai. Dance of the Willow, Kimimaro said, and several bone blades started growing from several points of his body. His palms, his knees, elbows, and shoulders now had long bones protruding from them. Hinata quickly took out her daggers and, channeling wind chakra through them, engaged Kimimaro in a deadly dance of weapons to see who would come out the winner. Hinata was surprised when she saw that the bones were holding against her daggers. It appears as they weren't normal bones, as they seemed far stronger than normal ones. She took a closer look and noticed that Kimimaro was even running chakra through them. Kimimaro was so busy fighting Hinata that he didn't see another one approaching from behind. Suitan, Soryu no Jutsu, Water Prison, Hinata's clone said, and using the water from the previous attack, she trapped Kimimaro inside a water prison. Knowing it would be too dangerous to even approach him, she decided to let him drown. This isn't going to stop me, Kimimaro said, and a very long bone shot from his hand. The bone completely pierced through the water prison and Hinata's clone, making it disperse in water and letting Kimimaro out of the prison. The original Hinata jumped back to gain some distance when she saw her clone get destroyed. Mizuno Muichi, Water Whip, Hinata said, and several whips of water started forming and trapped Kimimaro by his hands and ankles. Hinata blurred towards him and, channeling chakra to her hand, she slammed her hand into Kimimaro's chest. To her surprise, instead of hitting his skin and killing him, her hand was stopped by several bones that popped out of his chest, rendering her attack useless. Hinata jumped back and pouted. She couldn't get any attack in. It was obvious that his bloodline was far more suited for taijutsu than hers was. However, she wouldn't give up just because her opponent was tough. Sensatu Suisho, 1,000 needles of death, Hinata said, and hundreds of water needles formed around her and shot towards Kimimaro, who remained in place. The water needles collided with Kimimaro, but they simply bounced back and fell to the ground. Those bones, Hinata thought, shaking her head. Kimimaro had created once again a layer of bone to block all the needles. Hinata knew that to even poison him with her sen bones, she would have to catch him by surprise. Suiton, Suryudan no Jutsu, Water Dragon, Hinata said, and a huge dragon formed from the water in the ground and growled its way towards Kimimaro. That's a bit too much to simply stand by, Kimimaro thought, as he began running to avoid the dragon that eventually crashed into the ground and expelled into water. Hinata reappeared next to him and engaged him in taijutsu. However, this time, Kimimaro found himself completely on defense due to Hinata's fierce attacks. Kimimaro was parrying Hinata's daggers as best he could, but he didn't understand why his adversary had suddenly gotten a power spike. He was basically thinking that he didn't notice one clone of Hinata appear behind him from all the water in the ground. Kimimaro suddenly felt a presence behind him and pushed bones from his back out. The bones immediately hit the clone and it was destroyed. Kimimaro suddenly felt himself snared to the ground by water whips. He didn't notice the presence of a second clone. Here! Hinata fought as she pushed herself as fast as she could and slashed towards Kimimaro's throat with her wind-enhanced daggers. Kimimaro saw this and he didn't have much choice. He pushed all of his bones out and destroyed the wire whips and grazed Hinata on her shoulder. Kimimaro jumped back when he noticed a few drops of blood falling to the ground. He placed his hand on his neck and felt a small bit of pain. Hinata had managed to cut him deep enough to draw blood. Now we wait, Hinata thought, as she had successfully injected her poison into him. The cut might not be deep enough, but the poison would eventually spread, and she just had to wait. Kimimaro was starting to feel weak. His vision was starting to fade into nothing more than blurs. It was then that he understood that he had been poisoned. Kimimaro looked towards Kabuto, who was busy fighting those three Genin and Chunin, and he knew that he didn't have time to try and heal him. Kimimaro had no other choice but to go into level 2. Kimimaro channeled chakra to his earth curse seal located in the middle of his chest. Black markings started spreading through his body until he was totally covered. He now had dark gray skin, 6 large bone spines protruding out of his back, and a long bone spiked tail. Hinata could already tell that his strength had increased by quite a bit, and if he used it now, then it must have been to neutralize her poison. Hinata saw Kimimaro suddenly start running towards her. For lack of a better word, Kimimaro looked like a dinosaur rampaging towards her. Hinata braced herself, and the moment Kimimaro arrived near her, she sidestepped him and grabbed one of his bones from his back. She jumped on his back, and then her chakra flared and her daggers glowed blue as she was ready to kill him for good. Kimimaro spiked his chakra, and another bone popped from his back. Hinata just had enough time to tilt her head to the side, but she still got a scratch on her cheek, drawing blood. Hinata jumped away to gain some distance when she saw Kimimaro crouch. Tsunade no Mai, Suru, Dance of the Clematis, Vine, Kimimaro said, and a small bone started growing out from the back of his head, at the top of his spine. Kimimaro grabbed it and pulled it out. Hinata's eyes widened when she saw exactly what he had pulled out. Kimimaro had pulled out his own spine and had it now pointed at her like some spear. Kimimaro flexed the spear and it expanded going fast towards Hinata. Misu no Tate! Water shield, Hinata said, and the water rose around her, making a small shield around her chest. While Hinata used Jutsu fast enough, Kimimaro spine suddenly wrapped itself around her, pinning her to the spot. Tsunade no Mai, Hana, Dance of the Clematis, Flower, Kimimaro said, and bones started merging and wrapping itself around Kimaro's left arm. Kimimaro channeled extreme amounts of chakra to create the thickest bone he could. The bone itself seemed like a drill and completely covered Kimaro's left arm. Die! Kimimaro yelled as he thrusted his left arm towards the immobile Hinata. Kaiten, Hinata said, and used the water shield around her as oil in a motor as she started spinning. A blue chakra dome appeared around her, and Kimaro's strongest attack connected, but her shield didn't waver, and slowly but surely, Hinata's kaiten started eating away at the bone due to the spinning effect. A few seconds later, Kimaro's bone was nothing more than dust on the ground. They were about to jump each other again when they heard a small explosion followed by a small cloud of smoke. Uchiha Sasuke had awakened from his coma, and his appearance had completely changed. Shika, Kiba, and Choji versus Kabuto. Oh my, 3 babies against me, Kabuto said, chuckling, and pushed his glasses upwards. If I remember correctly, it was a baby named Naruto that killed you, Shikamaru said, yawning at the face of such a troublesome opponent. Don't even mix him with you. Now if you could hold a candle to what Naruto-kun can do. Only Orochimaru-sama can match Naruto-kun's power. That's the reason we came to retrieve Sasuke personally, as Kidomaru had informed us of what they were up against, Kabuto explained, as his hands started glowing and buzzing like chainsaws. Let's go, Kiba said, as Shikamaru crouched and placed his hands in the rat seal, making his shadow shimmer. Suga! Kiba said, and started spinning going towards Kabuto, who smirked. Kabuto simply sidestepped the attack, making Kiba simply pass by him. The moment that Kiba passed by him, Kabuto recoiled and kicked Kiba hard in the back. Kiba lost control of his attack and slammed into a tree, slightly dazed. Don't attack blindly, Shikamaru yelled. Don't you remember what Naruto said? He's as strong as Kakashi, making him an elite Jonin, Shikamaru stated. Kagemane no Jutsu, shadow imitation technique, Shikamaru said, and his shadow blurred towards Kabuto. Kabuto had just kicked Kiba into the ground and didn't notice the shadow. Kabuto got caught and was frozen in place. Nikudan Sensha, human bullet tank, Choji said, and began spinning towards Kabuto. Choji rolled, picking up speed, and crashed into Kabuto, sending him crashing into a nearby tree. They were running towards him to place a tag and end the battle when Kabuto poofed in smoke to reveal a small wooden log. Kabuto popped out of the ground just behind Shikamaru and grabbed him by the ankle. Using his chakra scalpel, he managed to cut Shikamaru's tendons on both his feet, thus disabling his movement. Shikamaru groaned and fell to his knees, clutching his feet, which were now temporarily disabled. This is bad, Shikamaru thought. Shikamaru was now a sitting target as he couldn't move properly. The only thing he could do right now was give support to both Kiba and Choji with his shadow. Anything else other than that, he was unable to do. Choji! Kiba! Shikamaru called, and they approached him so he could explain his plan. They all took their positions, and Kiba started running towards Kabuto, and Shikamaru did what he did best. He sat down and began to use his shadow to provide some help to Kiba for distracting Kabuto. Sen I Jashu, hidden snake hands, Kabuto said, and he flexed his right arm forward. 4 snakes suddenly jumped from his sleeves and wrapped themselves around Kiba. Kabuto spun and threw Kiba into a tree, making him cough a bit of blood and fall to the ground. Akamaru quickly ran to the side of his partner. Too slow, Kabuto said, and jumped away from the shadow that was creeping up behind him. Kabuto jumped several times, but the shadow didn't seem to stop chasing him. Kabuto quickly threw a couple of shuriken and kunai at Shikamaru, who had to roll to avoid them since he couldn't move properly. Now! Shikamaru yelled. Baika no Jutsu! Expansion Jutsu, Choji said, and jumped from the top of the trees over to the field. His body expanded into a very large spherical form, covering most of the field in shadows. Shikamaru took the opportunity and used his shadow that quickly connected to Kabuto, since almost all of the field was covered in shadows due to Choji blocking the sun. Gatsuga! Kiba yelled as both he and his partner started spinning like a drill and crashed into Kabuto. Kiba and Akamaru completely wrecked Kabuto's shoulder, and he was sent crashing to the ground and had already started reforming. Place a tag on him, quickly, Shikamaru said, and Choji ran as fast as he could towards Kabuto. Choji arrived near him and was about to place the tag on him when Kabuto got up and punched him in the stomach, making him buckle and kicked him away. My. You almost got me, Kabuto said, chuckling, as his shoulder had completely reformed, as if nothing had ever happened. Feels like new, Kabuto said, flexing his arm. Boom! Uchiha Sasuke has woken up. Naruto versus Orochimaru. Naruto and Orochimaru were having a fierce battle in Taijutsu. Orochimaru's speed was nothing compared to Naruto's, and with his Sharingan, Orochimaru couldn't hit Naruto. On the other hand, Orochimaru could bend his body at unnatural angles, which enabled him to dodge Naruto's attacks. During the whole battle, some hits got in, but nothing major for either of them. Sene Jashu, hidden snake hands, Orochimaru said, flexing his right arm forward. Snakes came out from his sleeves and wrapped themselves around Naruto, only for him to disperse in a cloud of smoke. Raikiri, Naruto said, as he peered right behind Orochimaru with his hand coated in lightning. Naruto pierced through Orochimaru's chest, destroying his heart. Orochimaru started melting into mud, revealing it to be an ordinary earth clone. Suddenly, Orochimaru popped out of the ground with his sword in his mouth, ready to stab Naruto through the chest. Naruto easily saw him coming with his Sharingan and used his Kami to simply let the attack slip through him. Naruto jumped to the side and used his sword to cleave Orochimaru's body in half. To his surprise, the two halves of Orochimaru simply sent snakes to the other end and merged themselves together again as if nothing ever happened. Futon Daitopa. Great break for Orochimaru said, and clapped his hands together and created a very strong gust of wind. Naruto challenged Chakra to his feet to stick to the ground, but the gust was too strong, and he had to jump away from it. Katon, Ryuka no Jutsu, Fire Dragon technique, Naruto said, and took advantage of the existing wind to power up his fire attack against Orochimaru. Orochimaru was enveloped in a cloud of fire. Once it dissipated, there was nothing more than an empty shell in its place. Naruto looked around, but couldn't feel where Orochimaru was. Orochimaru suddenly popped out behind him from the ground with his fingers glowing. Gogyo Fuin, 5-element seal, Orochimaru said, and slammed his hand into Naruto, only to simply phase through him. Once Orochimaru had passed through him, Naruto turned around and kicked him in the chest, sending him flying. He wants to disable Kurama. Too bad it won't work, Naruto thought, as he saw Orochimaru getting up as if nothing had ever happened. Orochimaru's mouth suddenly opened to inhuman proportions, and another Orochimaru came out. Naruto concluded that particular jutsu took a heavy chunk of his chakra away, but interestingly enough, the snake Sannin wasn't even close to half of his chakra reserves. But then again, Naruto had barely scratched the surface of his. Orochimaru suddenly flashed through hand seals that Naruto immediately recognized, but he was too late to stop it. Kuchios, Edo Tensei, Impure World Resurrection, Orochimaru said, clapping his hands, and a single coffin popped out. The coffin opened and Senju Hashirama came out, still in its sleep state. Can't he fight his own battles? Naruto muttered, sighing, as his eyes glowed for a moment. Kuronosu, time god, Naruto muttered under his breath as he watched everything roll itself back in time. Hashirama walked back to the coffin and it closed by itself. The coffin then went underground. Naruto's eyes glowed and time started again, the moment Orochimaru was thinking of the hand seals. Naruto threw a three-pronged kunai towards Orochimaru, as he was starting the seal sequence and appeared right next to him. Odama Rasengan, big Rasengan, Naruto said, and pushed his large chakra ball into Orochimaru. A large blue dome of chakra erupted due to the explosion. Once the dust was gone, Orochimaru was nowhere to be seen. However, Naruto had seen Orochimaru mold chakra into a jutsu that he knew all too well. Just as he expected, Orochimaru popped out of the ground just in front of him with a sword in his mouth. Naruto sidestepped his sword thrust and kneed him in the stomach, making him buckle in pain. Naruto flipped Orochimaru and trapped him in a chokehold and used his Kami to start absorbing him. "Slithering snake mode," Orochimaru muttered, and the lower part of his body became flexible and similar to a snake's tail. Orochimaru used his tail to wrap itself around Naruto's arm and broke the chokehold, allowing him to substitute with a nearby log. Once he substituted, Naruto disabled his Kami and watched Orochimaru slither away to gain some distance. Orochimaru was about to do another set of hand seals when he was interrupted. "Again with the Edo Tensei. Can't you fight for your own battles? Must you depend on another's power?" Naruto said at the shocked face of Orochimaru. "How did you know I was going to do the Edo Tensei?" Orochimaru asked curiously. "Why should I tell you anything?" Naruto said, smirking as Orochimaru scowled at the boy. "Let's just say my eyes are more powerful than you can imagine, Orochimaru-chan," Naruto said, taunting him. "My eyes are everything that you always wanted, but you'll never get this set." Naruto said, chuckling as Orochimaru plummeted to the ground. "Is Sasuke-kun going to take much more time to complete the ritual?" Orochimaru thought to himself and weighed his options. "Mandara no Jin, 10,000 snake wave," Orochimaru said as he opened his mouth. Thousands of snakes suddenly started crawling out of his mouth, forming a gigantic wave towards Naruto. The snake's wall rose into the air, blocking the sun's view, and cast a shadow onto the battlefield. "Does he even have any jutsu not snake-related?" Naruto said, sighing. Naruto gripped his fan from his back and placed his left hand in the tiger seal. His chakra spiked as his lungs filled with air laced with chakra. "Katon Garyuka no Jutsu, great dragonfire technique," Naruto said, and unleashed a torrent of fire shaped in a dragon's head into the incoming snakes. Once his fire jutsu had started, Naruto swung his fan, creating a powerful gust of wind that powered up his fire attack. Naruto had unleashed an inferno that washed against the snakes. Almost all the snakes were instantly vaporized, leaving just a few for Naruto to deal with personally. "Kuchios no Jutsu," Orochimaru said, as he swiped blood across his tattoo on his arm. A very large brown snake appeared in a cloud of smoke and instantly tried to crush Naruto. Naruto jumped to his side to avoid it and then jumped away to gain some distance. "Snakes again," Naruto said, shaking his head, and prepared his attack to finish the snake before it could cause more confusion. Their battle was beginning to escalate as they had already used some large-scale jutsu. Naruto focused his chakra and his eyes glowed. Suddenly, out of nowhere, chains bursted from the ground. However, these chains weren't the traditional golem that Naruto used to summon. These chains were burning with black flames. Naruto had combined his golden chains with his Amaterasu. "Inferno chains," Naruto said as his flaming chains instantly dashed and wrapped themselves around the snake. The snake hissed in pain and tried struggling out of them but couldn't. The chains were too tightly wrapped around it. Orochimaru jumped down from the snake as another chain tried to wrap itself around him. The snake dispelled in a cloud of smoke. Naruto retracted his chains and they started floating above him, aiming towards Orochimaru. The chains were just hovering around Naruto as if waiting for the order of their master to engage. Naruto smirked and the chains suddenly blurred towards his opponent. Orochimaru ran for his life and tried to dodge as best he could. Naruto's chain attacks were similar to Hashirama's Mokuton, as both could freely manipulate each one. The problem was that Naruto's attack was infinitely more deadlier. If you were caught by the trees, no big deal. However, if you were caught by these chains, you would instantly be ignited with Amaterasu flames that can't be put out, and it would mean instant death. Orochimaru jumped to his side to dodge a chain. The moment he landed, another chain popped out of the ground and tried to wrap itself around his ankle, but Orochimaru managed to substitute with a nearby log. Suddenly the chain stopped the chase and stopped midway between Naruto and Orochimaru. The chains were acting like vertical bars, slightly apart, slipping Naruto from Orochimaru. Futon, Daitopa, great breakthrough, Naruto said, and released a gust of wind from his lungs. Orochimaru's eyes widened when Naruto's wind connected with the chains and brought upon it a wave of black flames. Naruto's wind attack had carried the black flames, making a gigantic wave of them wash over Orochimaru. Orochimaru's body was completely enveloped in black flames, as well as the nearby field. Orochimaru had nowhere to go except underground, and that's what he did. Orochimaru switched his skin and used his Doton technique to move underground to some place where the black flames weren't active. This brat is way too dangerous, Orochimaru thought to himself as a small bead of sweat rolled down his face. Orochimaru looked to his right and sighed happily that he survived the inferno that was still going on down there, and by the looks of it, wasn't going to end anytime soon. Naruto was about to light Orochimaru on fire with his black flames when a loud explosion echoed through all of the clearing that Naruto had created with his fan. The barrel where Sasuke was exploded in a cloud of purple smoke. The moment the barrel exploded, everyone stopped their battles and regrouped with their allies. Sasuke jumped out of the barrel and landed in the middle of both factions. Sasuke's second level of the curse seal turned his skin dark gray with a black 4-point star mark between his eyes and across the bridge of his nose. His sclera turned black, his irises turned yellow, and his lips turned blue. He also grew claw-like nails, and his hair grew to waist length without losing its style. And people call me a monster, Naruto muttered out loud, taking in the new shape of Sasuke. He already expected something like this when he saw what exactly the Sound 4 could become. Naruto shifted his eyes towards Kimimaro, who looked like a rhinoceros ready to stomp on someone. Naruto then looked towards his team to take into account their injuries. Shikamaru was on the ground nursing his ankles as Na was already healing him. Both Kiba and Choji were out of breath, and we could see the sweat rolling off of them. Naruto then turned to Hinata, who looked fine with the exception of a couple of scratches through her clothes and one on her cheek. Uchiha Sasuke, Naruto said in a strong and commanding voice. By order of the Godaime Hokage, you are to return to Konoha to face trial for the murder of Haruno Sakura. If your retrieval is impossible, termination has been allowed, Naruto explained with his Sharingan spinning and his killing intent rolling. Sasuke laughed loud before suddenly stopping and turning to Naruto with a dark look. She served her purpose, Sasuke said, making his Mangekyo flare to life and trying to intimidate his adversaries. It worked to some extent, as all but Naruto and Hinata were shivering just from looking at those eyes. If Sasuke killed Sakura to achieve those eyes, then they must be something else. You killed her just to get those eyes, Kiba yelled to Sasuke. She was our teammate, and you killed her in cold blood, Kiba said. I already told everyone that I would stop at nothing to get my revenge, Sasuke coolly said. Now that I have these eyes, Sasuke said, pointing towards his Mangekyo, I'm going to kill all of you. Sasuke said, laughing as his chakra spiked. A small trail of blood started leaking out from his eye as his chakra flared. Amaterasu, Sasuke said, and Naruto erupted in black flames. Sasuke laughed, thinking he got Naruto, but he was very surprised when he noticed that the black flames were swirling away into his eyes. Futon Daitopa, great breakthrough, Naruto said, and released a gust of wind, and at the same time he released the black flames from his eyes. A wave of black fire washed over his enemies, who had to jump away to avoid it. I don't see this ending well, Orochimaru said to his company. Kabuto, do it, Orochimaru ordered, and Kabuto nodded, jumping towards Sasuke. Naruto took advantage of the time they were retreating and started channeling Raisen chakra through his hands. He formed the all-too-well-known blue chakra spear and sent it into the sky. The sky instantly became darker and darker. The wind started rustling furiously as loud thunders could be heard echoing through the clearing. This isn't good, Orochimaru said to himself as he remembered this attack very well from the reports of the Tsunade and Sound invasion. He's going to kill us all! Sasuke yelled towards Orochimaru to do something. He had already seen this jutsu and there wasn't much they could do. The only problem Naruto was facing was that if he launched this jutsu, there probably wouldn't be anything left of Sasuke to take back to Konoha. Like I care. I can just use the Edo Tensei to prove he's dead, Naruto thought to himself, agreeing with his logic. Raiton, Kirin, Naruto said, and the thunders gathered into a single one. Naruto's hands sparkled with lightning as he did a downward movement to command the dragon to attack his target. Before Naruto could finalize the jutsu, a very large bone burst from the ground very close to their position. Due to Naruto's Sharingan, he could easily track the bone and shift his body to the side to avoid it. The problem was that, by moving his body from his original position, his Kirin Jutsu rocketed down upon the earth but with the wrong target. The field exploded and sent debris and trees everywhere. Naruto was in contact with everyone on his team and used his Kami to make everyone intangible. Once the smoke started clearing, what was once a clearing with trees surrounding it was now nothing more than a crater similar to one just outside of Konoha. The dust cloud had cleared and Naruto refocused on the battlefield. Kabuto was reforming as he seemingly lost almost all of his body from the neck down. Sasuke was on the ground with his clothes ripped apart and his body smoking, and was back to his original self. His curse seal was deactivated, meaning that he was unconscious. Kimimaro appeared to be extremely well, but that thought was gone when he fell to the ground, coughing up blood. Naruto looked for Orochimaru until a hand burst from the ground near Sasuke. Orochimaru crawled out of the hole, barely breathing. "Damn you!" Orochimaru yelled in pain. Naruto just smiled while both Shikamaru and Choji were gaping like a fish at the jutsu Naruto used. "You don't look good," Naruto said to Orochimaru, who vomited himself out of his old body. Orochimaru stood in front of them, completely unharmed, but Naruto could see that his chakra reserves were almost gone. He would have to retreat if he wanted to live, but Naruto wasn't going to allow that. Naruto jumped towards Orochimaru and his company. Suddenly, 4 Narutos popped out of the ground, forming a square around everyone minus Hinata, Choji, Kiba, and Shikamaru. "Ninpo, Shishinjen, Ninja Art, 4 Flames Formation," the clones all yelled, and a large purple barrier was set in place, trapping everyone inside. "You can't escape now, Orochimaru," Naruto said, smirking. "This is your end," Naruto said as he flashed Sasuke and quickly absorbed him into his dimension. Naruto started leaking out red chakra from his body that placed Orochimaru on alert. "Kabuto, do you have them?" Orochimaru asked, and Kabuto nodded, throwing 2 vials to Orochimaru, who proceeded to swallow them. Back to Naruto. He suddenly exploded in a shockwave of red chakra. Naruto now had 4 chakra tails connected to his backbone. His whole appearance was like a miniature Kyuubi. Naruto was leaking out chakra and killing intent that would kill an ordinary Chunin with just that. "Saurabi no Mai, dance of the seedling fern," Kimimaro said, and used the last of his strength to launch his attack. Hundreds of bones started bursting through the ground. Naruto let a mighty roar in his Kyuubi form. The bones were all shattered like simple twigs. Naruto curled his tail just above his mouth, and red and blue chakra started gathering in the air. "What's he doing?" Kyuubi asked, slightly afraid. He never saw Naruto using the Kyuubi's chakra, and the feeling he got from it didn't please him. "We need to move away," Hinata said. "Now!" she yelled, and everyone jumped away from the barrier.
Bijutama, tail piece bomb,
Naruto said, and sent a chakra ball towards Orochimaru. "Until we meet again," Naruto-kun, Orochimaru said, and disappeared in a cloud of smoke. "Damn it! He used the Gyaku Kuchios no Jutsu, reverse summoning technique," Naruto thought, as the Biju Bomb connected with Kabuto and Kimimaro. Naruto instantly flashed out of the barrier and set up a earth barrier around his team. Boom! A very large explosion occurred in the field. The ground shook like an earthquake. The purple barrier couldn't withstand a Bijudama, and as such, was destroyed along with Kabuto and Kimimaro. A large column of fire and smoke rose into the skies, enveloping everything in darkness. When everything had calmed down, Naruto looked towards the battlefield and saw no evidence of either Kabuto, Kimimaro, or any of the Sound Four. Naruto and his team had completed the mission with a few extra bonuses. They had retrieved Sasuke, who was now trapped inside Naruto's dimension. They killed 5 Sound Shinobi, and they now know that Kabuto was still alive due to Orochimaru using the Edo Tensei technique. Not a bad day in the end. And that's the end of chapter 33. We will now move on to the final chapter of this video, which is chapter 34, which is also the last chapter for part 1 of Legacy, and it is called Revelations and Farewell. So we all know where this is going. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into chapter 34, Revelations and Farewell. Here we go. Chapter 34, Revelations and Farewell. Konoha Gates. Tsunade, Mibuki, and Jiraiya were staying at the gates awaiting the arrival of Naruto's team. Naruto sent a message that they would be arriving at any time, and as such, Tsunade was by the gates with a couple of Anbus ready to take Uchiha Sasuke into custody pending his trial. They were all blinded by a bright yellow flash. Once they regained their vision, they focused on the 5 shinobi standing in front of them. They looked like they had been through some battle. Only Naruto and Hinata looked like they still had fine capabilities. The others were sweating with their clothes trashed. Shikamaru seemed to be limping a little, but everyone else was rather healthy. Nothing a night's worth of sleep wouldn't cure. Where is the Uchiha? Tsunade asked, confused. From what she understood, the mission was successful with the capture of Sasuke. Here, Naruto said, and used his kami to drop Sasuke to the ground. Thank you, Naruto-san, Mibuki said, and Naruto simply nodded. Mibuki slowly approached Uchiha with a smile on her face. This is for my daughter, Mibuki said, and kicked him hard in the balls, making everyone male cringe at the sight. Even Akamaru whined. What the hell happened? So I asked, looking towards the smoking Uchiha, lying conscious on the ground. Don't tell me he gave you all this trouble, Tsunade said, pointing to their clothes and general fatigue. Orochimaru happened, Naruto replied, and Tsunade's eyes widened. She had sent 2 Genin and a Chunin up against a Sannin. Thank God, no one died. Did you manage to kill him? Jiraiya asked, but Naruto sadly shook his head. He used reverse summoning jutsu to escape, Naruto explained, and Tsunade sighed. Orochimaru really was one slippery bastard, but he would meet his end someday. But we did kill his 4 elite bodyguards, as well as another one called Kaguya Kimimaro, the last of the Kaguya clan, Naruto explained, and Tsunade nodded. Another thing, Naruto said, and Tsunade motioned him to continue. Orochimaru switched vessels and can do hand seals again. He used the Edo Tensei to bring Kabuto back. Kabuto is fine against us, and I managed to obliterate him. But that won't stop Orochimaru from doing the jutsu again, Naruto explained, and Tsunade sighed, rubbing her temples. It doesn't matter at this point. Shikamaru, can you walk? Tsunade asked, and he nodded. Report to the hospital for treatment. All of you are dismissed. Naruto, we have a council meeting to determine the fate of Uchiha Sasuke, Tsunade explained, and everyone nodded. She turned to Sasuke, who was being dragged away with an angry Mibuki running after the Anbu. I'll see you at home, Hinata-chan, Naruto said, pecking her cheek, and left to the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower, Council Room. Once Naruto and Tsunade had arrived at the council room, everyone was already assembled. Uchiha Sasuke was staying in the middle of the room, bound with chakra-suppressing tags and simple handcuffs. By his side was a single Anbu guarding him. Any aggressive move from Sasuke and the Anbu would end his life before the trial had even begun. The council is in session to determine the fate of Uchiha Sasuke for the murder of Haruno Sakura, Tsunade said, and glared at the Uchiha. What proof do you have of that? Sasuke asked, smirking. He knew very well how to cover his tracks. He left her in nothing more than ashes, and as such, there wouldn't be any evidence that he was the one that killed her. We have a confession from Sakura herself, Tsunade said. What? Sasuke asked in disbelief. If she is dead, then how come you have a confession? Sasuke yelled. Naru-chan, Tsunade said, and everyone snickered while Naruto just sighed. Here, brought her back to find out what happened, Tsunade explained. She looked at the panicking Uchiha with a look that said, I got you now, bitch. Do you have anything to say? Tsunade asked, but Sasuke remained silent. Let's wrap this up and end it once and for all, Tsunade said as she got up from her seat. I call for the execution of Uchiha Sasuke for the murder of Haruno Sakura. Anyone against? Tsunade asked, but was interrupted before she could go on. You can't do that! I'm an Uchiha! You can't afford to lose to Sharingan! Sasuke yelled and smirked, thinking he got them. Tsunade just looked at him with a pathetic look. You seem to be forgetting about Naru-chan, Tsunade simply said, making Sasuke's eyes widen. He wasn't the last Uchiha anymore, so he was expendable. And it was you that brought this upon yourself, Tsunade said, and was about to call the vote when she was interrupted by Mibuki. If I may suggest an alternative sentence, Hokage-sama, Mibuki said with a very sick smile, that sent shivers towards Sasuke's spine. Sasuke was considering that maybe death would be far better than what was coming. I want his chakra molding capabilities destroyed, and that he spends his life in jail. I want him to know that he will never have his revenge on his older brother. I want him to feel the desperation as he slowly withers away into old age, knowing that he would never avenge his family, Mimiki said, and even Tsunade shivered. That was one cold sentence, even worse than death. Sasuke would be locked up forever knowing that his family would have died in vain, and that their killer would walk the earth free. Hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned, Shikaku thought to himself. I don't see why not. Everyone in favor, Tsunade asked, smirking, and everyone raised their hands with the exception of Danzo, but no one gave two craps about him. The sentence will be carried immediately, Tsunade said, and motioned to Naruto to destroy his chakra network. In essence, Sasuke would be a civilian when Naruto was done with him. Naruto stood up and walked calmly towards Sasuke with an impassive face. Sasuke just stood there and watched his doom walk towards him. Stay away! I'm not going down like this! Sasuke yelled and struggled to get free, but he couldn't melt chakra, and the cuffs were too strong for him to break. Not that he would go anywhere if he ever did break them. Naruto arrived near Sasuke, who was shaking from fear. Naruto placed his right hand over his chest and focused his chakra. Kanji started spreading through his body until it covered it completely. This is the same seal I used on Orochimaru during the invasion, Naruto explained, and turned to Tsunade, who nodded for him to proceed. This might sting a little bit, Naruto said as he placed his right hand in the tiger seal. Activate, Naruto said, and activated his seal. Sasuke screamed in pain and rolled on the ground. Naruto took the liberty of delaying the destruction as much as possible as further punishment for his actions. Around 5 minutes later, Sasuke stopped screaming and simply laid on the ground with labored breaths. If anyone looked at him, you could see his dead look. The look of someone who just had his entire life taken away and was forced to know that he would never get what he wanted. Can you confirm, Hiyashi-san? Tsunade asked. I confirm. His chakra network is destroyed. At this point, he won't even be able to make a simple Bunshin clone, Hiyashi said, and Tsunade nodded. Bore, Tsunade said, and the Anbu kneeled in front of her. Take Sasuke and show him his home for the rest of his life. Make sure it's warm and cozy, Tsunade sarcastically said, and Bore bowed before picking up Sasuke and leaving the room. This meeting is adjourned, Tsunade said, and everyone left the room. Konoha's IT department, temporary holding cell, prisoner Uchiha Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke was sitting on his bed in his cell. Sasuke had a blank look on his face and was looking at the wall as if waiting for answers. Foolish little brother, Sasuke heard, and turned to look outside his cell, only to find Uchiha Itachi standing there with an amused smile on his face. Itachi! I'll kill you! Sasuke yelled and tried to break the iron bars of his cell. Quiet down before we knock you out, an Anbu said from the corridor. Sasuke looked towards where Itachi was, only to find that he was gone. Maybe death would have been a better outcome. Sasuke suddenly heard a noise and looked towards the Anbu, who was knocked out and lying on the ground. We are leaving, Sasuke, a voice said from behind him. Sasuke stumbled onto the ground when he saw a figure sitting on his bed. He was wearing a black coat with red clouds, but the most distinguishing thing was his orange mask with a swirl pattern. The mask had a single hole for his right eye. Who are you? Sasuke asked, slowly backing away as far as he could. That will come at a later time, Tobi said, as he absorbed Sasuke into his eyes and proceeded to warp away from Konoha. Senju compound. Later that day, back at the Senju compound, Naruto and Gaara were packing while Jiraiya was waiting for them. They were about to leave for their 3-year training trip. Even though Naruto assured everyone that he would regularly visit and that he would bring Gaara, everyone was still a little sad. Hinata was also sad. Naruto told her that he would visit her every day, but that wasn't enough. They had been living together for years, and they spent almost all the day together. only to at night sleep together, sharing each other's warmth. Don't worry, Hinata. Maybe if you give it your all, you can join them on their trips, Tsunade said, and Hinata slowly nodded. Naruto walked out of the room with a large scroll on his back. Gaara also had a scroll wrapped around his sand gourd. I guess this is it, Hinata-chan, Naruto said, approaching and hugging her. I'll see you tomorrow, princess, Naruto said, and gave her a slow and passionate kiss. They reluctantly broke away when Jiraiya warned them that he wanted to arrive into next town before it was night. Until we see you again, Naruto said, and the three of them dashed away from the Senju compound. I'm going to miss that pervert, Tsunade said, wiping away a small tear. Akatsuki hideout. Tobi arrived at his hideout and proceeded to remove Sasuke from his dimension. Sasuke fell to the ground and slowly backed away from the man standing in front of him. Without chakra, Sasuke knew that he was powerless and that pretty much any shinobi could take him on and defeat him. Relax, Sasuke, Tobi said, slowly moving his hands towards his mask. I take care of my family, Tobi said, as he removed his mask, only for Sasuke to widen his eyes and promptly faint. Otogake. Deep in Otogake, Orochimaru and the newly summoned Kabuto were buried deep inside a lab. In the middle of the lab, connected to several pipes and wires, was a large tank filled with a green fluid. Inside the tank was a small ball of something. Judging by the green face of Orochimaru, it must be something good. Orochimaru was salivating at the prospect of having the Sharingan bloodline he always craved for. Orochimaru just watched as his new creation was slowly maturing away. During his battle with Naruto, Kabuto had managed to extract a couple vials of blood from Sasuke. Orochimaru, together with Kabuto, had engineered a perfect replica of Uchiha Sasuke, who was now slowly maturing away inside the tank. How long until the vessel is viable for use? Orochimaru asked to Kabuto, who was running simulations in a nearby computer. I estimate 3 years, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto replied. Good, Orochimaru said, licking his lips. Akatsuki hideout. Sasuke recently been brought back to the land of the living, as he was staring at the figure in front of him. Kai! Sasuke tried flaring his chakra, but nothing happened for 2 reasons. First, the person in front of him wasn't an illusion, and second, he couldn't manipulate chakra in the first place, so he couldn't break the illusion even if he tried. Father? Sasuke slowly asked towards the figure. The person standing in front of Sasuke without the mask had short, black hair that reached to his shoulders and onyx-colored eyes, with visible creases below them. You can't be! You're dead! Sasuke said, shaking. The person in front of him couldn't possibly be, and yet he was. Uchiha Fugaku was standing in front of Sasuke and passively looking at him. I assure you that I'm very real, Sasuke, Fugaku said, in his typical cold and emotionless voice. Why didn't you come back to Konoha if you were alive? Why did you leave me all alone there? Sasuke yelled. He needed answers and he needed them now. I'm sorry, Sasuke, but neither of those things were possible. I'll explain everything. Just listen, Fugaku said, and Sasuke slowly nodded. For starters, Itachi didn't simply kill our clan to test his strengths as he told you. If he had to measure against me, he would lose. The reason he decided to kill our clan was because of orders. We are Uchiha elite. We deserve to control Konoha and rule it unlike the Senjus. 14 years ago, I summoned the Kyuubi, and the Uchiha clan was supposed to take control of the village after the confusion was over, Fugaku said. However, that blasted Namikaze beat me to it. He was able to wound me and seal the Kyuubi into his newborn son, Senju Naruto. A couple of years after the Kyuubi incident, the Sandaime and its advisors became suspicious about the origin of the Kyuubi's attack and decided to investigate. At that time, we were preparing a coup d'etat to take control of the village. They decided to plant a spy inside our clan, and who better than Itachi, who is a peace-loving shinobi. Understand so far? Fugaku asked, and Sasuke slowly nodded, taking everything in. Itachi began working as a spy for the Sandaime, providing information every time our clan gathered. I knew that our clan would stand no chance if the village was prepared for our attack. We had lost our element of surprise only because Itachi chose Konoha over his own blood, Fugaku said, gritting his teeth. I had to come with a solution to save our clan, and the only choice was to kill them all, Fugaku said. You call saving our clan killing everyone? Sasuke yelled, and Fugaku sighed. Sasuke, Fugaku started. Our clan is alive and well, Fugaku said, and Sasuke froze. What do you mean? Sasuke asked, confused. This thing was confusing him to hell, and nothing was making any sense. Zetsu, Fugaku said, and a plant-like shinobi emerged from the ground. This is Zetsu, a member of the Akatsuki and my personal servant. Fetch a clone, Fugaku ordered, and Zetsu formed a white clone who stood there waiting for orders. Fugaku made a small sign, and the Zetsu clone touched Sasuke and immediately took his form. Fugaku proceeded to kill the clone, but his shape and appearance remained. These clones are special. They can replicate the DNA structure of anyone they touch, and even if they die, they remain with it. Not even the more skilled medics can tell the difference. I used these clones and replaced the whole Uchiha clan with fakes. Their Sharingan is also functional to some extent, Fugaku explained. Then that means that Sasuke didn't finish, but Fugaku completed the blanks. That everyone is still alive and in hiding. Your mother, uncle, cousins, everyone, Fugaku said, and Sasuke smiled before scowling again. Then why did you leave me there all alone? Sasuke asked in a low voice. He was happy that his clan was alive, but what would that make for Itachi? I'm sorry, but we had no choice. Itachi decided in all his mercy to spare you while he wiped out the clan. While these clones are foolproof, they aren't made for battle. They are very weak, and we couldn't risk it letting one in your place. The same way we could never retrieve you from Konoha. It would raise too much suspicion, Fugaku explained, and Sasuke slowly nodded. What about Itachi? Sasuke asked. Yes, that fool, Fugaku started. Did you know that I learned from Uchiha Madara, and that I'm working on a plan designed by him, Fugaku said, and Sasuke's eyes widened. Naruto's grandfather, Sasuke asked, and Fugaku nodded, chuckling. Now, that was a twist I wasn't expecting. He never said anything about having a son, Fugaku said, sighing. During my reign as clan leader, I often had a clone take my place in Konoha so I could focus on our plans outside of the village. One time Itachi contacted me thinking I was Uchiha Madara. He confided me everything without knowing that he was talking to his own father. Fugaku said, laughing. Itachi, the so-called genius, was fooled in the end. You will deal with him when the time comes. I think of no better punishment than making him live with all the guilt and remorse when in fact he never killed anyone. Once I find you strong enough to deal with him, I'll let you kill him. He was a traitor to his own clan. He chose Konoha instead of his own flesh and blood, Fugaku snarled. I can't do anything. I can't manipulate chakra anymore, Sasuke said, looking down. No need to worry. I can easily fix that once I inject you with some of Zetsu's cells. They will boost your power and fix any wound you may have, Fugaku said, and Sasuke smirked. So, Sasuke, Fugaku started. Will you stand by Konoha or your own blood, Fugaku asked. I stand for our clan. Itachi will pay, and Uchiha will rise. And that is the end of chapter 34, the last chapter of this video. Thank you all for watching this Legacy fanfic reading of chapters 32 for 34. I know I'm behind compared to other creators and stuff, but that's because I'm doing more chapters per video. So that is kind of understandable. Also, these chapters are extremely long, so yeah, that's not very fun. Now again, let me repeat this. This is the end of part 1 of Legacy and the end of part 1 of Naruto. So we're going to be focusing on the train trip and some more stuff for Naruto. And there's something in the next chapter that I don't think I'm going to read because even though I kind of read something out in the in chapter 32, it wasn't really explicit, but you knew what was going on. This one is a bit more explicit, so yeah, that's a note from me. Anyways, in terms of some other stuff, I have a lot of videos coming up, so stay tuned for when those come out. And if you want me to read any more fanfics that come from Naruto, Cherry, DBZ, or something else, link the fanfic and give me the name of it, and we should be good. Anyways, in terms of other stuff, make sure you watch my community tab like a hawk. That's really important. Follow me on Twitter for no way to know of my videos, and also to interact with me since it's my most active platform. Instagram, just because, well, it's for memes, and I barely use it, but it's still Instagram, so again, follow me over there. And for Discord, make sure you join it, which is linked down in the description for another way to interact with me. I'm also active on there. And you can also, well, guess what, have a way to suggest to me ideas directly. So that's pretty cool. Also, you get to see my thumbnails early, so that's pretty cool as well. Shout out to my $10 patrons. Their names on screen, as well as my $50 patron English. If you want to support me and get rewards or shouts like these, go to my Patreon, which is linked in the description. And finally, if you want to see my podcast, my Twitch is linked in the description. That's where you can see my podcast until episodes come out on my second channel. So again, follow my Twitch is linked in the description. And finally, let's get to 44K. And yeah, that's about it for this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share the video. And this has been your boy, the Anime Sage, sign out. Peace. Yorha. Sensei. Close out. Bye-bye. Peace.
Hi, this is Stephanie Shea, voice actress for Sailor Moon, Hinata, Orihime, and you are watching Anime Sage.